bitch. Oh, excuse you? Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry in. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Everyone, everybody, it's your boy Chris Avalon. Happy Monday. Welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on in celebrity news, pop culture, hot topics, all that good stuff. So if that is a show for you, definitely stick around because we have a lot of tea to spill today. Including we have some Batman 2 news where they're stating that the working title might be giving us an insight on who the villains might be and what storyline they might be tackling. And I might be excited if this turns out to be true. Netflix looked like they got to refund some coins over to some subscribers because they've been doing these illegal price hikes. And of course, it's happening in another country. This would never happen here because we're run by a bunch of goddamn corporate cannibals and oligarchs. So we'll get into that story. Plus, we got to talk about this fallout with all these sponsors dropping out of the UK festival that Kanye is headlining because all of a sudden now the Bully album's doing well. He sold out the SoFi Stadium for 2 days or 2 nights, I should say. And now it seems like a lot of people still haven't forgiven him, even though a lot of his fandom seems to have done so. We got to talk about the tea regarding Brandy and spilling some tea regarding why her relationship with Darkchild is strained and Beyonce may have something to do with it. I'll reiterate more on it. Then we got to talk about this fallout with the whole Ku Klux Khaleesi and Justin Baldoni case, where they're urging her to drop the lawsuit, but she's still going in and letting have. And it's like, ma'am, you really were trying to just ruin whatever's left of your legacy as a okay actress. But we'll get into that. Plus, Jonathan Majors, it looks like these people that are working on this movie that he's doing, which is being produced by Ben Shapiro's production company. They are a mess. IATSE's involved. A lot of people are jumping ship that are working behind the scenes. He actually fell through a window during an action sequence. It's like, it's a mess. And so we'll get into that and all the production's reported problems. We got to talk about this beef going on between Charli XCX and Sky Ferreira, where she took her behind over on the internet this past weekend and may have thrown a little shade against in Charli's direction, basically implying that Charli is out here reheating her nachos and using her old demos for the Wuthering Heights soundtrack that I actually liked. It does kind of feel a little Sky-esque now that I think about it, but we'll get into it. And her people are denying it and all that other stuff. So we got to get into that. Plus, we got to talk about Zara Larsson, who did this interview over at I think they at The Guardian, where she's spilling tea about, clarifying the things she said about Taylor Swift that apparently got the Swifties tits in a twist. We also got to talk about what she said about nobody cares about the music charts and people who are just out here picking on poor old Chappell Roan. So we'll get into that. Plus Doechii, who actually, it's been confirmed she has a new song coming out for the Devil Wears Prada soundtrack with Lady Gaga, is basically saying that young female artists are being torn apart in the media. So we'll get into that, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the whole Zara Larsson, um, Chaperone situation. So we'll get into that. Plus, I have some good news regarding Lil Nas X, and we're gonna have ourselves a first look at Pedro Pascal, my husband, in that new homosexual romance movie, The Noche, that he's starring alongside Danny Ramirez. So we got some photos, we got all that stuff, and that is the TIFO today, unless something breaking comes out and y'all want to add it to the docket. But yeah, it's a little slow out here today, but we're gonna make these topics exciting. Um, so yeah, before we get to those topics, if you can, please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Also be sure to smash the notification bell so that when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. We also have membership, so if you want to become a member of the channel, you could definitely do that. Or if you want to send super chat, super stickers, you could do that as well. But if you got a little coin cointata situation, and I know times is hard because of this crazy ass economy we in under this retarded ass administration, and you need to pinch a couple of pennies, the best way to help this channel out is to hit the like and subscribe and all that good stuff. I also want to take a moment and give a shout out to all the new people that have subscribed to the channel and have commented, because apparently y'all like my chili from TLC shady ass videos, because them videos been blowing up. I've noticed that every chili video I do, the videos I've been videoing, the first one I did hit 10K. The other one I did, I think so far has only probably done over 1K. but it's still growing. And I've been checking all the comments and all the stuff and hitting the likes and all that. So I appreciate all the new people that are coming in that are discovering this channel and excuse me, and clearly understand what I do over here. So, because there'll be a couple of y'all in the comments that want to throw comments about zesty and this, that, and the other. So, first of all, nobody throws better shade than the homosexuals and women when it comes to talk about celebrity news and gossip. So, if you're thinking that trying to come down and say the gay is a read, you in the wrong channel, sir. Because and there's a lot of you sirs that's doing it. Just come out the closet and come to terms with who you are. Don't worry about what I got going on over here. So anyway, so let me hit the comment situation. Happy Monday, everyone. Sailor Mermaids in the building. Oh yeah, I saw this. Sorry. I did. I saw that she posted a video. I didn't even get around to posting it or watching it, so I'm gonna have to check it. But yeah, Sabrina dropped a new single today and a video. Well, a new video, and she's got Jack Attenall's wife in the video with her. Host chat live is watching. Oh yeah, because I had a. Oh, the reason why I was late is because I was eating. I had to feed my dogs, and also I forgot. I was like, shit, I forgot to post the video for today's show because I do that in all the social medias, and I forgot to tag everybody in it. So that was my error, and I had to come in and do all of that. So host chat live in the building. Hey y'all. Hey girl. Hey. From DJ Eric. Yeah, keep it all coming. Not hey girl, hey. But anyway, let me hit the banner. And before we get to all the salacious stuff, I like to edge y'all a little bit and warm it up so that way we get the algorithm going a little bit. So let's get into some easy news. And the first topic we're going to get into, let's talk about the Batman Part 2. So the Batman Part 2 is going to start filming, I believe, in the coming weeks, which I'm actually excited about because I know that Robert Pattinson said that he's going to be he's got only a small window to promote this movie that he's starring with Zendaya in called The Drama. Am I the drama? Yes, you the drama. So it's like, and y'all should use one of Cardi B songs as like y'all theme song for The Drama, since she loves being the drama. But nevertheless, he's got a short window to promote this film before he has to, I think, head over to the UK. I think that's more or less where they're filming it to shoot the Batman Part 2. So apparently I saw that on Superhero Hype and I believe Comic Book Movie, a bunch of other sites that I go to looking for superhero news, has a little inside tea on based on what the title of the movie is being called, what we could be in for. And let me tell you, I'm excited if this turns out to be true. So the Batman Part 2 was expected to begin shooting on May 29th in London, and a new production listing has revealed the sequel's updated working title. The Batman Part 2 will reportedly commence filming under the title Semper Vigilans, which translates to always vigilant or ever watchful, fueling speculation that the movie will include the Court of Owls. Now, if y'all been watching this show for as long as y'all been watching, and I be talking about the Batman or Batman and that sort of thing, I've always said that please can y'all take on the Court of Owls. And to me, it feels like the Court of Owls would sort of work in this world, especially with a lot of the gossip surrounding, the villains and who they're gonna bring in it. Like we had, well, based on the first movie, because remember the first movie, Bruce was starting to discover that his parents were not as squeaky clean as they tried to make them out to be in, throughout history or whatever the case was. When he found out, I believe Alfred was the one that broke that to him or something or another. Or when he started digging deep and, going with the Riddler and stuff, he started to discover certain things about his parents. His mother was in an insane asylum. His father was getting caught up in some shady politics, which is how he became sort of one of the most powerful people in Gotham City. Although he had Bruce had this idea of his father that he was like this perfect man or whatever. So all of that started getting dismantled. And then if you play into that, since it's grounded in realism, that you have this society of people that are really the ones pulling the puppet strings. And if you bring the Court of Owls into that, I feel like it fits within this world of the Batman that they're they're uncovering. So in the comments, the nursery rhyme associated with the shadowy organization reads, "Beware of the Court of Owls, which watches all the time, ruling Gotham from a shadowed perch behind granite and lime. They watch you at your hearth, they watch you in your bed, speaking not a whispered word of them, or they'll send the talent for your head. Now, it's certainly an intriguing possibility, but we already know that Matt Reeves' sequel will feature Harvey Dent, played by Sebastian Stan, as well as Gilda, played by Scarlett Johansson, and Father Christopher, who is yet to be cast. So, I mean, we've been hearing things floating around. Stellan Skarsgård was supposed to be picked. He turned it down allegedly. Then they said Daniel Craig. I don't know what happened with that, but and Brad Pitt at one point was rumored to be cast as Christopher Dent, but I don't even know at this point, who do you pick? I mean, we got to pick somebody. The man got to be in the 60s. So, which is because Sebastian Stan's character is in his 40s, and in real life he's in his 40s, and Scarlett is in her 40s. So it would make sense if you have them, even though they don't look like they're in their 40s, whatever that means, because how do you look an age, right? Um, I don't know who they're going to pick as Christopher Dent, but I'll be interested to see once they reveal that tea who it is. Now, previous reports have claimed that the movie's plot involves District Attorney Harvey Dent, Commissioner James Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright, and Batman forming an uneasy alliance to bring down a serial killer and the city's entrenched mafia power. If you're a DC Comics fan, you'll likely be aware that the premise of The Long Halloween, which also influenced elements of Chris Nolan's The Dark Knight, while Reeves and co-writer Mattson Tomlin might have worked The Court of Owls into the storyline, Talon could be the killer. It seems unlikely given the scope of the comic book arc and depth of the lore. The listing also mentions Paul Dano as being part of the returning cast. I've also heard rumors that Barry Keoghan is going to return as the Joker, but I don't know how true that is. We'll just have to see, I guess, when the movie is made. Now, during an interview with screenwriter Andy Serkis, who plays Alfred, spoke about the sequel script. He didn't give much away, of course, but did drop a few vague hints about the direction of the story, saying, I obviously can't say too much about the film other than I'm really excited about going back into the world and working with Matt Reeves again, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So, they say the same old political correctness with the movie. The movie is going to come out on October 1st of next year. That will be 2027, in case y'all forgot what year you're in. But I'm actually looking forward to it. And then I saw recent pictures of Robert Pattinson. I'm like, he look a little too skinny to be Batman. Like, I need a little bulkiness or muscularity. But maybe he works without having to put on all that muscle. Maybe they want more of a thin, agile superhero instead of somebody who was very much overtly muscular and mean and intimidating, like Batfleck, because I already told you, Ben Affleck, in my opinion, was my favorite Batman. The embodiment, the look, the grit that he brought, even that warehouse action sequence of Batman v Superman still stand out as like one of the most iconic action sequences we got from Batman. And I kind of want that to be brought in. The problem was he was just in two shitty ass movies, Justice League and the other one, Batman v Superman. They weren't great movies, but he was good in it. And it would have been nice for him to get his own solo film, which was supposed to be the one where he was supposed to go up against Deathstroke, but that movie never transpired, and it's unfortunate because I really wanted to see that movie play out on the big screen. But so far, I'm really hoping that we do get Court of Owls. I hope they do find a way to incorporate that in the story. But whatever it is, I've liked Matt Reeves's Batman universe that he's built, especially with the Penguin. Love that first season, iconic. And I like the Batman. The only problem I had with the Batman was the third act. I just didn't like how that played out. It felt a little too big, a little too grandiose, and it just felt a little too much CGI going on. So I was a little disappointed with the third act. But overall, besides that little hiccup, I did pretty much like everything that built and led up to that third act. But other than that, I just hope that y'all could find a way to make up for that whack ass third act in the Batman in the new one that's going to be coming out next year. So I say all that to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the Batman Part Two? Do you think that with them doing this working title, even though we already know that's not probably going to be the official name of the film, they always try to pick some kind of a weird name to throw people off the scent of what they're filming, but there's always sort of like a bit of a tell in what the storyline will be or what the plot is based off of the titles that they come up with for these movies to throw people off the scent, even though now we know it's going to be called Semper Vigilance. So, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Live Nation just sent Dawn Robinson a cease and desist letter saying In Vogue is no talking about In Vogue is no longer allowed, and you can't afford a lawsuit living in your shade. But I find it funny that why Dawn can't talk. First of all, she was in the group. If she feels sour grapes or feeling bitter, she should be allowed to say what she want to say. Cease and desist is so damn corny. I don't even think that cease and desist really do much of anything damaging to someone. We'll see if that shuts her up, but I doubt it. And the Chili store is also getting gagged, so Live Nation is now stepping in and silencing creators saying they're ruining people's bank accounts. How are we ruining people's bank accounts? If she's coming out here, you can't expect people to just give you money for whatever when you pretty much been showing your ass out here in public. People have a right to make a decision on what they want to make. And Live Nation, don't sit up here and try to act like you give a good goddamn about the people and their money and this, that, and the other. Y'all care about being screwed over that you're not going to be able to make back the money that you want with these girls coming out there. Because I did hear something that people are saying they want TLC replaced with SWV. That's what I was hearing. So people don't even want TLC on this tour anymore. But then again, if you look at it, TLC got their drama going on. We got In Vogue going with the mess going on with that, and then Salt asserting herself in Chili's mess, kind of making Salt and Pepper look crazy out here in these streets. Even though Pepper and Spinderella been out here minding the business that pays them, but Salt asserting herself, trying to act like she the moral compass of the situation when it's like, sis, you should just mind your business and let her figure out and deal with what she's dealing with. And now you're going to try to be like, well, I mean, the cat's already out the bag. People now have a choice. If y'all want to go and support Chili, then you go ahead and support her. If you don't want to with your money, then you don't have to. And that's just what it is. And don't forget, Ryan Gosling left the project immediately after being cast. I heard because it's a rom com, he left the film saying, I'm not making a female led audience film. I don't know if Ryan Gosling would actually kind of do something like that because what it's saying he left it because he's not making a female led audience film. There's got to be another reason for that because I don't know, for some reason I don't see Ryan Gosling being that type of person based off of how he comes across and his reputation. I mean, you never know how people truly are until you in the room with them. But I don't know. I just don't feel like that was the reason. I just think that Ryan Gosling is a hot commodity right now. He's got a lot going on. He's got a lot on his plate. And people are just pulling him here, there, and everywhere. And he can't be everywhere he can't be everything everywhere all at once. I just want to find a way to slip that movie in there. And it was coming in the brain. So I was like, let's go with it. He told people only action films now. It's well, you know what? He might as well just jump into action movies because yeah, the rom com thing wasn't working. Ryan Gosling's been on the struggle bus as of late in regards of getting butts in seats, and it seems like movies like Project Hail Mary, the new Star Wars movie that he worked on, those might be the films that people kind of want to see him. And he's at that age; he's in his mid 40s. So this is the time to really cash in and do the whole action movie star thing, and then if it comes down, he got to be the older leader man down the road and hunching some young ingenue, which is what y'all seem to be Hollywood's thing. Then we'll see how that works. But rom coms, people ain't going to the movies to see that unless it's kind of float. I mean, would it be considered? Would that be considered a romantic comedy? The Devil Wears Prada too. That's not rom com. That's kind of like a comedy, and it's got its own built-in audience, so people are gonna go and do that. And La La Land, as you mentioned, that was like 10 years ago that he doesn't want an Oscar. He doesn't want Oscar films after One Hot Minute. He didn't star in the best Oscar. And then look, and people also people need to realize that with the Oscars don't guarantee you to still have like this like this great career. I mean, Adrian Brody didn't he win an Oscar? Have y'all heard from him? The last time we seen Adrian Brody, I mean, maybe he does have a movie. I don't know, but the last time we seen Adrian Brody out in these streets was when he was given the Best Picture, I mean, the Best Actor Oscar to Michael B. Jordan. That was the only time we seen him. So I don't necessarily know what he could possibly do at this point. It's like, okay, so if the Oscar-winning movie comes along, then who knows? Who knows? Maybe he'll get an Oscar nomination for Project Hail Mary. Crazier things have happened. Well, good for you. This information is just one of the problems. Why are we talking about No Limit? This ain't got nothing to do with them. And you said happy Monday, Chris, and everyone here. All right. Okay, so now let's move on to our next topic. And let's talk about Netflix. So it looks like Netflix is about to get they behind Henderson because look, they talking about over here in America, they're about to raise the damn price again, which I don't know why y'all continue to raise prices when I'm literally paying more and more and more money for the same goddamn content, the same quality, same this, same that. But I know if you're lucky enough, and I gotta look into that because if I'm a um T-Mobile subscribe like if I use T-Mobile, right? Aren't you supposed to get free Netflix? So, even though the type of mode that I use like for my internet and stuff, I use Verizon Fios, but I have T-Mobile. But I guess it depends on your provider. You can use you get the free subscription, this, that, and the other. But for those who don't, it's crazy out in the street. Y'all charging all this money for Netflix, but now it look like Italy is tired of their mess, and it's like, oh no, y'all been raising these prices unconstitutionally, and y'all owe some coins to the people. So they said instead of raising prices again, Netflix may have to lower its subscription costs in Italy. A court in Rome recently ruled that Netflix owed its Italian users a refund for price hikes between 2017 and January 2024 and a reduction to previous subscription costs. On top of the refunds, Netflix Italia would have to inform its affected subscribers of their right to a refund. So they lost the situation, and he said the ruling covers a series of Italian price hikes introduced in 2017, 2019, 2021, and 2024, all of which the court found unlawful. According to reports, the court said Netflix violated the Italian Consumer Code by raising those prices and voided the clauses that allowed the increases to be imposed on subscribers. The case didn't appear out of nowhere. The lawsuit was brought by the consumer group Movimento Consumatori, you got to say it like you're Italian, which challenged the legality of Netflix's repeated subscription increases in Italy. That matters for a company that has spent years presenting price changes as part of the normal rhythm of the streaming business. In this instance, the court decided those increases were not supported by valid contract terms under Italian law. Now, for affected subscribers, the headline issue was simple: money could be coming back. Reports suggest that some Italian consumers could be owed as much as roughly, well, I don't know what their situation is called. I mean, rupees, I was going to say, is not Italian dollars, but in Italian dollars, in American dollars, it would be approximately $578, depending on how long they remain subscribed through various increases. Well, shit, can we get this over here? Because some of these price hikes in America have been unlawful, but I know y'all not going to do that because in America, y'all will sit y'all will sit up in here and y'all will literally play us for a fool and have us paying all these extra prices and scamming and scheming and all that other mess, and then we ain't got nothing to show for it. So that's been pissing me off. Oh, I got your message that I'm freezing, but unfortunately I'm in the middle of a topic, so I'm not going to be able to unfreeze and refresh until after the thing. um they said that gives the ruling weight beyond the usual backlash that follows for subscription increase. Streaming audiences are used to seeing monthly causes rise, but it's less common for a court to step in to declare the legal basis of those increases void. It all shifts the discussion away from whether Netflix is too expensive and toward whether streaming platforms can rely on broad contract language to justify repeated price changes. Now, the platform has continued to raise prices while tightening its approach to password sharing, a strategy designed to turn more viewers into paying customers, which I think is stupid because I feel like people are always going to password share. I know a lot of people that password share when it comes down to it. And I don't think that there's anything to do about it. I'm trying to remember what other streaming services do that crack down on sharing outside of Netflix. I'm trying to remember. I don't think Hulu does it. I just saw that you can create multiple pages with Shutter. That was nothing something they never did before. But once they they gave their website a makeover, they came in and they were able to, make things look better. And now I have myself and then my sister, who's another horror movie fan. I put her on there, so she uses mine. And Netflix, I pay for my own, but I know people that share and all the other stuff. So they said there's also a broader industry issue presented here. Price increases have become a standard for streamers as companies race to balance subscriber growth and profitability. This particular ruling does rewrite the rules for everyone, doesn't rewrite the rules for everyone, but it does show that courts are willing to examine and interrogate how those changes are communicated and enforced in line with consumer protection laws. So for now, the case is an Italian one, but it lands on a global pressure point for every major streamer. So here's the thing: what's going to happen, what I hope happens, is that you don't want it to get to a point where consumers get more selective in regards of what it is that they who they want to subscribe to and what channels they want to watch, because you have this thing called churning, which a lot of people do, which is like, I'm just going to go in, subscribe to this thing for a month, binge all the things I need to binge, and then at the end of the month cancel and then move on to the next thing, because these prices are getting out of control. It's like Netflix, I believe, has now moved up to like what, $25. Like, who has $25 here? And then on Hulu with me, I told her I'm doing the Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO Max bundle. That's $30 a month. When I'm doing Shutter, that's $10 a month. You're doing Paramount Plus, it's $14.99. When you're on Peacock, that's like 10 and some change. When you're doing Apple TV, that's 10 and some change. I think it went up to like 13. And then of course, because I have Prime Video along with MGM Plus, that's a whole mint. I'm paying like 17, $18 for that whole situation. That all adds up. And it's like, even though I got all these different things, it's like I'm literally paying as much as I would be if I had regular cable in my house. One of my friends from work told me that he was paying, I said, you out your damn mind. He said for his cable box with, I think he had Spectrum, whatever. He said he was paying $300 a month. I said, say what? $300. I was like, mm-mm. And he was like, he had all these different. I said, all you need is the internet. You just need the internet thing. Use the streaming services. You don't need all these other channels. But he's big on like sports, so I understand like ESPN and stuff. And I believe with ESPN, that's part of like Hulu, whatever. But that's expensive. But then also, you got these people out here with these VPNs, and they'll probably use that in order to save some money and illegally watch certain things. So um people are getting more selective out here. People don't, every month that stuff adds up. It's becoming increasingly expensive. And at one point, something's got to give. So you corporations got to stop being so damn greedy. And Netflix, if y'all going to keep raising y'all prices, there needs to be something because I barely, even though I'm paying for Netflix, Netflix is not necessarily the top streamer that I watch. As y'all know, I pay for all these damn streamers and I be on YouTube more than anything. And YouTube is free. Although I could get the premium for like what, $14, but which I have been considering. But I'm on there more than I'm on like the regular streaming service. And then when I go to Netflix, it just be it gets so intimidating. I feel like I'd be spending like an hour literally trying to find something to watch. It doesn't really, like, nothing pops out. Y'all just put a lot, it's more style rather than substance. There's more stuff up on there that it's like you trying to pick. Do I feel like watching this today versus like something that really jumps out in front of you? So if y'all gonna be trying to raise all these prices, there needs to be a reason why these prices are being raised. But I don't feel like you giving people a good enough reason to want to stick that around, or a good enough reason why y'all keep raising the price. It'd be y'all raise the price 1 minute, and then 2 or 3 months later, y'all want to raise it again. I'm like, for why? It's still got the same goddamn template. The same that you haven't changed. Although I see so many other streaming services copying off of Netflix's template, which is weird to me. If you look at all of them, all the channels look alike. You go on Prime, you go on, even if you go now on Shutter, which I was telling you about, they even copied it. Their top 10 movies, and that whole, that whole outlook, they all copying it. So Netflix, get it together, because I do feel like I said, with Zoran being the guinea pig for New York City and his democratic socialism and how much he's been doing to progressively change New York, I said he's gonna be the blueprint for how the rest of the United States works in their politics. I feel the same thing will happen with Netflix. Now that Italy has won its case in this situation, some people out here might look at that and see what they doing in their countries, and then they'll follow suit. And Netflix, y'all will be a mess. See, I was with y'all before when it came down to the situation trying to get a studio and not the Ellisons getting their hands on it. But the way y'all handling business in this situation, y'all, I don't like this part of the whole Netflix situation. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Netflix and all the drama going on with them? Where they just going to have to pay all these people? It would seem like in American dollars, 500 some odd dollars for continuously raising your prices on their streaming service, which they said is illegal in a part of their laws over in Italy. I said they should do that here, but like I said, they got so many damn crooks working in the world of business. Us trying to get a good leg, I mean, us trying to get some money back over some of the criminalities and things that they doing. I doubt it'll happen here. We got too many goddamn crooks and oligarchs and all these other criminals, white collar criminals working in business that spend more time trying to rob us of our coins, our hard-earned money, than us actually getting quality to go with the amount of money y'all asking us to pay for these damn streaming services. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Every time Adrian star in a Roman Polanski film, he wins a. Oh, does he? Was the last movie he did a Roman Polanski movie? That's why most people get Netflix for free 99. Okay, that's why people be illegally watching stuff. You pay $8 just to watch the damn America's Next Top Model doc. Was that the one with the commercial? Oh look, and I forgot to mention that. That's why Tubi threw shade at Netflix over what they said. They was like, "Oh, and we still free over here." And let me tell you, even though the ads, I think, is the only issue that bothers me with Tubi. Tubi be having some good stuff on there, so I can't be mad at Tubi because the variety, the amount of movies they have on there. I remember at one point, and it's been a minute since I've been over on Tubi, but Tubi, I was on there a lot, especially when it came to like the old horror stuff. Like I love their old horror movie collection because they have a lot of classic slasher movies. And like I have this thing for like I love watching really bad 70s, 80s slasher movies. I love all that stuff and the giallos and all that stuff. So I'll be going up in there and they have a couple on Shutter, but when they run out of, when I'm seeing it all over there, I'll go over to Tubi and watch their stuff. But they do have better quality products. There's just the ads that you gotta sit through that's annoying. I kind of wish there was no ads, but I know I got email from Verizon because I have the Netflix and HBO Max combo for $10 a month. Now going to 30. Well, child, I need what y'all got. But I don't have. I told you I don't have Verizon. I use Verizon for the cable, but I use T-Mobile for my phone because I get it for free with T-Mobile. However, they sent me a text that they will be ill charging a fee. Oh, they tried it. So now people got to pay for it. Y'all the low show mine. If they've been getting it free for this long, prices being raised to avoid a strike and a Hollywood shutdown. I thought I just heard that they came to a deal regarding that whole strike situation. I think I just heard that story. I got to look that up. But anyway, before we get to our next topic, which I believe is that the brand? No, that's the Kanye. Before we get to that story, I got to go out because I got a message that I was freezing. So I got to come out and then I'll come back. He's back. I was here, damn it. Okay, are we better? Is bitch better? Because I'm looking at something else, and that usually what starts the whole freezation when I be reading the articles. I was like, and if I'm not freezing no more, let me know when or Cleveland, you can send me a text again. Cause that's how I found out. It's like I'm frozen when your heart's not open. Speaking of which, Madonna, you better be dropping a new goddamn single this month. Stop playing in my face, cause it's April. Where's the new music for Confessions 2? Well, I guess we're good. So let's get into our next topic, which is let's talk about Kanye. So Kanye apparently is out here. It look like y'all outrage towards the Heil Hitler stuff and all the controversial anti-Semitic mess that he was out here putting. I guess that was short-lived because it seems like all is forgiven in the Kanye department because he went over to the SoFi Stadium, was sold out both nights. People was complaining. Oh, I just got your back. You said all good. People was complaining that some people like, well, he made I think they say he made $30 million for both. I was like, okay, so that's your litmus test. The fact that, oh well, because all these sponsors are now dropping out. We're gonna get to that one. But people say, but he made all this money. I said, look at y'all up in here acting like y'all his accountant, counting all that man's money that you're never actually gonna get in your account. But you got time to sit up in here and count how much money you believe from whatever you read that Kanye is accumulating from those 2 nights. So, and then I also heard some people say, well, how come y'all are going in and letting have on Kanye, or if all is forgiven with him, but y'all over here dragging Chili and all these other women? So y'all, well, it's probably because I feel like at the end of the day, men hate women. And I'm not saying that men hate women to the point that y'all are homosexuals in the closet. That's not what that means. You can fuck a woman, you can have all kinds of relations, do whatever with a woman, but I'm talking about the respect part. The fact that do you respect women? Do you actually, when they go through whatever type of hardships, that y'all will sit up in here and give them the same type of energy that you would give your favorite male. And I think that maybe the reason why a lot of people have pretty much forgiven Kanye is because they're still holding on to college dropout Kanye. They're looking at late registration Kanye. They're not looking at this current Kanye. And from what I heard, even though, like I told you, I have not listened to a Kanye West album in years, but I've been hearing that the Bully album is actually pretty good. So if you come out with music and they listen to it, and it's like, even though he's problematic, these songs kind of slap. I'm not laughing because I'm saying like, okay, it's what, but I totally get it. It's like this music slaps though. You're kind of conflicted to the point of like, well, I don't like all the stuff he be saying, but these songs are kind of dope though. So I think people are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I'm not justifying a lot of his actions or whatever, but I'm just basically saying I get it. I just people's minds is it's a weird thing. But anyway, let's get into the story regarding all these people that's dropping out of this event that Kanye is headlining, like he dropped out of college. So the scheduled 3-night headlining appearance by Kanye, they want to call him Ye, I ain't calling him that shit, at July's Wireless Festival in London is only growing in controversy. The festival's primary sponsor, Pepsi, which I actually prefer better than Coke. They got that good fizz when I be drinking Pepsi. Coke, I feel like it goes flat too damn fast. But anyway, it said announced Sunday that it is withdrawing from its decade plus co-branding with Wireless and was followed later in the day by Diageo, owner of Johnny Walker and Captain Morgan alcohol brand, stating that it too was pulling out of its sponsorship. Although the statement did not mention the rapper by name, it came hours after Kanye's booking was roundly condemned by the UK's Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Now, on Monday, 2 more sponsors pulled back, with sources telling Variety that Rockstar is withdrawing its sponsorship, and the BBC reported that PayPal will no longer allow its branding to be used, although it apparently has not pulled out completely. Well, y'all need to make up your damn mind. I forgot which person owns PayPal. They said some type of, is it one of the Ellisons, I believe, owns it? I got to look that up, who owns PayPal. But I remember hearing it was some type of corporate person that. Anyway, let's just get into the rest of the story. Now, they said, however, all the brands are still present at the festival's website as of Monday morning. Remaining festival sponsors include Budweiser, Beatbox, and Drip. Well, we already know that old Budweiser and their old piss water tasting beer wasn't going no damn well. Now, either way, the festival's future seems to be in question. The festival had officially been known as the Pepsi Max Presents Wireless as part of a partnership that had been in place since 2015. Although many music fans welcome Kanye's return to the stage there, Pepsi has also widely tagged was also has had also tagged what? Okay, let me read that again. Although many music fans welcomed Kanye's return to the stage there, Pepsi had also widely tagged in outrage. Okay, that don't make no sense. I thought I was bugging. It says Pepsi had, okay, let me just put it in my own words. Pepsi was widely tagged. you can't say had also widely tagged. That don't make no damn sense. So they were tagged in outraged tweets protesting the company's apparent. So basically, long story short, because I'm sitting there having a whole brain aneurysm trying to make sense of this goddamn sentence, what they're saying is Pepsi only decided to pull out because I feel like y'all full of shit over there because they were getting backlash from people online. So Prime Minister Starmer had also made it clear that they said that he, for one, was not ready to normalize Kanye yet, now that the hip hop superstar is seemingly returning to touring business as usual in other countries. I don't think they said he couldn't tour in America, right? But he was at the SoFi Stadium, isn't that in LA? They said it is deeply concerning. Kanye West has been booked to perform at Wireless despite his previous anti Semitic remarks in celebration of Nazism. This is what Starmer said in a review to the British newspaper The Sun. Anti Semitism in any form is abhorrent and must be confronted firmly wherever it appears. Everyone has a responsibility to ensure Britain is a place where Jewish people feel safe. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like we should be condemning Zionism and we should also be condemning any kind of isms. But y'all don't even get me started on this mess regarding the fact that y'all want to look, we already get in the conversations between, my issues with people who are in Israel that like to pull the anti-Semitism card to justify their rhetoric. But I do agree that Kanye, what you running around here saying all this crazy stuff and praising Hitler and selling the merchandise and coming out with a song called How Hitler and all that mess. And you had Nick Fuentes crazy ass up in the club with a bunch of groypers who I know they probably was fucking each other on the low dancing and partying to that damn song in a club. First of all, if you played up in a club, I'm slapping you, all of y'all, and the damn DJ for being so stupid to play that damn song. Now, and in London Mayor Sadiq Khan on Wednesday made statements distancing the city's government from the festival in Finsbury Park on July 10th to the 12th. Said, we are clear that the past comments and actions of the artists are offensive and wrong. We simply are not reflective of London's values, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So yeah, and they said that they told about it. He played 2 nights at SoFi Stadium in the LA area where he was joined by Lauryn Hill. I'm surprising her ass was on time for that, but she ain't on time for nothing else. So Lauren was there, Travis Scott and Don Tolliver was there. And also and they said he performed on top from atop a giant half globe in the middle of the enormous venue, which we know he threw a damn temper tantrum because there was some technical difficulties in the middle of the concert. I'm like, you couldn't have did a run through before y'all went live? And would you not rehearse? Because I don't know how y'all having technical issues during the show. I mean, I know things happen, but y'all could have worked that out before the people came up in there to see you live. I also heard Erica Badu was there. It was a bunch of celebrities. Winnie Harlow, a bunch of people. So, and y'all know that he came out with the full page ad apology in the Wall Street Journal a couple of months ago, which would be January, and saying that, yeah, that um he is acknowledging that his behavior had made him a pariah, where he lost a lot of deals. He lost a lot of, people didn't want to mess with him no more. But remember, he did that, and that's why I said I side-eyed the whole situation. I was like, we'll see if this is all real, because you were running around. You've done this before, where you've done the apology, and then you go and you say something crazy, and then you want to blame it on your car accident. You blame it on the alcohol, blame it on your low testosterone count. I don't know. You just like to blame it on everything instead of taking responsibility on you was probably looking to say something controversial. You knew it was going to help you go viral. It backfired. You can say anything about other people. You can throw black people under the bus, which you and a lot of these other coons out here in these streets be doing, but you can't say nothing about the Jewish community, which of course plays into the stereotype that Jews pretty much run the entertainment industry. And I know they don't like having that thing, but when you start seeing the way the things start moving after you say something that is deemed anti-Semitic, and I'm not saying what you didn't say wasn't, because it was, but when it's on other planes like Melissa Barrera and the whole Gaza situation, or anybody that comes out, or most recent when you had Kate Beckinsale's over plasticized ass trying to throw shade at Mark Ruffalo for liking a pro Gaza post, and she said something about him in a penis. I'm like, bitch, you look like you've been slapped with too many. And I like Kate Beckinsale, but when she recently came out and said that shit, she pissed me all the way off. I'm like, bitch, eat a sandwich and lay off them fillers, because you looking crazy out in these damn streets. So when you have those type of things, that's when it becomes problematic. But yeah, Kanye, what you were saying out here was crazy. But that ain't the only thing that he got to worry about, because there was another story that I saw from news.scott.com where they was talking about that his permission to enter the UK is under review. So even though all these people are pulling out, which, sidebar, before I get to that story, what I don't understand is, so y'all just woke up this morning and just discovered that Kanye was attached to this? Like, y'all weren't aware? Because I would think that if sponsors and all these other people are in on this situation, there would have been some type of behind the scenes conversation. I think because Kanye was at, oops, sorry, Kanye, because that's what we call him. Because Kanye is over here caught up in this situation. Now all of a sudden, because of the backlash from certain people online, now y'all want to backpedal and be like, well, I don't know if we want to be attached, blah, 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 blah. I was like, y'all should have been well aware of what's going on. Y'all know months in advance what's going on. It's kind of like the whole thing with the Super Bowl. They know who they're picking. They already know about the rehearsals. They know the sponsorships. They know all of this stuff. It's just they time it as to when the rest of us, John Q. Public, finds out about these business deals. But they've had them in place for a while. So I'm side-eyeing Pepsi. I'm signing all these other people, PayPal, Rockstar. I'm side-eyeing all of y'all that's out here trying to play this whole we're trying to protect our brand situation when y'all probably knew for a while that Kanye was a part of this situation. Y'all just trying to protect cover your own ass. So that's how I see it. But now they talking about permission for him to enter the UK is currently under review by ministers. Sky News understands, following mounting pressure from his booking as the headline act for Wireless Festival. It comes as another commercial partner distanced itself from the festival on Monday amid strong criticism over the US rapper's previous comments, including from the Prime Minister. So we'll see if his I'm shy we tour of talking mess about, you know, Jewish people and promoting anti-Semitism and trying to act like you the black version of Hitler. You was acting like your name is Blittler. Um, or that's going to help you down the road, and all will be forgiven, and you'll just be able to come out of here unscathed. I do feel like people are still going to give you that metaphorical lashing, that you're really going to have to grovel and work a lot harder to get in the good graces of a lot of people, because there are people, even though you did your little shows at SoFi Stadium, I don't see you being able to book in other places. And if the SoFi Stadium is the only place where you could accumulate a little $30 million situation, and that's enough for you, then awesome sauce. But as far as like how the people, these people going back and forth, whatever, I feel like I said all I needed to say in the beginning, in regards of like, I just feel that some people maybe just have a hard time disassociating themselves from the whole situation because they felt like we want the old Kanye back. Y'all just gonna have to have that nostalgia just live in your head and remember as it once was. When people are gonna evolve and people are gonna change, but I understand we live in a nostalgia era because he's been around for a long time. So people wanted like old Kanye, and I heard that when he performed at the SoFi Stadium, that he performed a lot of the old hits. He wasn't doing a lot of new stuff, and I guess he was smart enough to know to do that, because if people came up in there looking for old Kanye and he was performing all the new shit, y'all would have been upset. So you're not Madonna. You can't go up in there and do a whole tour around the new music, and then people be okay with it because you're giving, amazing set pieces, artistic expression, fierce choreography, all that stuff. That's not the type of artist he is. He's somebody that's going to get on a stage and rap and have crazy things going on behind him with the technology. And yeah, you got to do those old songs. So we'll see how this all plays out down the road. But I want to ask all of you, what do you guys think of this story regarding Kanye on the struggle bus with this UK festival? And just your overall thoughts on that story. So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. All right. Let's see what the people are saying. Did you see Beyonce's failed protege was which one, Chloe or Halle Bailey? And you said Phil Protege was posting on her Snapchat how excited she was to be at his concert in a seat where you could barely sit. Chill. Well, that's probably she had to scrape some of them coins together. I think the reason why Kanye managed to survive his cancellation is solely for two reasons. He has a stan army and he's a man. It confused me as to how he was front page on Apple Music. That is true. I think gender does have a place in it. I just find it funny that I just find it funny that people like the neighborhood talk, which I don't know how anybody takes shit they say seriously. I'm like, y'all have a blog on Instagram, and y'all act like y'all are like TM fucking Z. At least TMZ has a website. At least Perez Hilton has a website. At least I have a website. You got Instagram, and y'all posting like a full paragraph as a headline, and then a stupid screenshot, and then you got dumbasses up in there just commenting like it's real news. But anyway, they run up in there talking about how he's got the number one album in America. I'm like, no, he doesn't. BTS does. So y'all gonna sit up there and tell that lie? At least if you're gonna tell a lie, tell it correctly. But he does not have the number one album in America. This is the first time he's released a record that had premiered at number two, but he has the number one album. Also, I forgot to mention that 50 Cent responded to this whole situation regarding Kanye, and he said, y'all gonna get that man going on a rant again. So is that the business cut him off because he was spewing nasty shit about he said, but those same businesses were real quiet when he was talking about how slavery was exactly. That's why I said, oh, y'all love when you could talk about black people in a derogatory way, but you can't say nothing about Jewish people. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. And if that makes me sound anti-Semitic, then you don't even know what the fuck anti-Semitism really is. Y'all just throw that word around like it's nothing. And I feel like you're diminishing the true meaning of the word because a lot of y'all like to use that as a weapon against people. Anheuser-Busch, which owns Budweiser, just withdrew their spot. Oh, that was quick. The same way they did it to Dylan Mulvaney. You don't think he can sell out the Wembley? I mean, if he did SoFi in 2 days, he probably can. I mean, SoFi is a stadium. I think he could. But then again, oh, I said which one? Chloe or Halle? Chloe was there. Halle is too busy promoting that one movie that's called Who Cares? Something about Italy and escapades. Speaking of which, since we're talking about it, Ray J. Jean Page was at my job yesterday. That man fine in person. Um, Wimbledon, and he plays her love interest in this movie that you talking about called No One Cares. So you just reminded me. Ray J. Jean Page was at the Rangers game yesterday where they scored 9 goals. 8 goals, 9 goals, 9-1, I think it was. That was a good game yesterday, and they had me on the floor for it. I was like, of course, put me in the busy sections. Not that I'm complaining, but yeah, I was on the floor for that game yesterday. So yeah, but shout out to him. I think he was like the only big celebrity that was there, at least that I know of. Brandy spoke on Kanye and how difficult he was. We have that story coming up. That's actually the next topic. We're gonna be talking about Brandy and her situation with him and working on the Aphrodisiac album and all the drama that transpired with him. He insisted on one of his singles. So that was the deal. It was supposed to be a 2-song thing. The label Atlantic pushed on her and all that mess. But anyway, speaking of Miss Norwood, let's talk about Brandy. So yeah, there's more tea coming out regarding this Brandy book that she has called Phases that's out. I actually went and purchased it off Amazon. So I'm waiting for that to come in because I was like, all this stuff that's coming out, and you need context instead of the little excerpts that, of course, everybody's spewing on social media. But yeah, there's some tea. So now she describes the moment she realized her working relationship with Darkchild had come to an end in her new memoir, Phases. So after I heard her from her own mouth, we're gonna play the clip of her actually reading the audio book where she talks about it. I was like, you fat, low down, dirty dog. I never liked Darkchild. I always thought he was an asshole. Now here's the thing. I like the production. I liked a lot of stuff. But I remember there was a couple of interviews or things I had heard that, when he would talk and stuff, and there was always something about him that turned me off. I also heard that he's another one who's MAGA. So we started to find out more people that are black vote on that side of being a Trump stir. So yeah, let's go over to the Twitter. We're gonna play this clip. If you don't come back and talk, please hold.
What about? I don't even remember. But we were going at it like usual. The way siblings do when they know exactly which buttons to push. Only this time, he looked me dead in the eye and said, "Go do what you're gonna do, while I go sell 5 million records with Beyoncé." The words landed like a gut
That was
punch.
it.
I stormed out of the studio. Humiliation burned through me like a wildfire. Left behind in the ashes was a sadder realization. It was time for me to move on. For years, I dreamed of working with Timbaland.
And yeah, now we're about to get into the story about Timbaland. So shout out to Brandy because Brandy was reading that book like it was a telenovela. But anyway, well, you know what? I'll leave it on the phases situation because I'm like, okay, wait, why you not listening to me? Thank you. Put it back as I wanted before. Okay, so that wasn't the only thing that she said. So then of course when she said the thing about Beyonce, of course, you got people who obviously are illiterate, don't know how to read, or just read headlines, was immediately thinking that she was being shady and throwing shade at Beyonce, which I don't think that's what that was. People need to understand how this business works. A lot of times, when you don't have control over the very thing that you think you have control over, you have the producers, a lot of people that work behind the scenes who are really the ones that are having control. And it took Brandy a long time to get to a place where she could have significant control over her music, meaning she could be more involved in the songwriting. She could be more involved in a lot of the sessions of the, vocal arrangements, all this other stuff. And she had worked so hard to build what she had with the likes of a Darkchild, only for it to be outsourced to other people. You have to look at it in the same sense of like when you listen to certain artists, who you already know their distinct style on who they collaborate with. Brandy with Darkchild. Then you had Janet with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, or you had Tony Braxton, who was like my generation's Anita Baker, because Anita Baker was like my parents. Like she's much older, but Tony Braxton was kind of like more or less my generation because she came out in the '90s. So Tony Braxton was like Babyface, or you would have, or if we go on the pop side, we can do um you could do who was it? Dan Nigro, and I would say Chappell, but people don't really be catching her like that. I would say her and him and Olivia Rodrigo, or you had Red One and Lady Gaga. So when you look at certain people before she decided, I guess she was in her feelings, and maybe that was the reason why she also parted ways with Red One because of the same way Brandy, which was if I worked on this distinct sound with you, that's our thing. Now, if you want to go off and produce for other artists like a Beyonce or whatever the case is, you can do that. But don't take exactly everything, even the vocal stacking and stuff, which I'm known for, and give it to other people. That is the ultimate disrespect. And she actually said that. So I'm going to read the rest because that was just a little snippet clip. I was trying to look for a longer one. But here's what she said. She said, him working with other artists wasn't an issue for me. I was exceptionally proud of what he built with Darkchild. I celebrated every one of his victories as if it were my own. But the pride got harder to hold when I started to hear our sound, my sound, echoing from the sound of the other women, the same intricate vocal arrangements with stacked harmonies that had been my signature, the same song structure, the same approach we innovated on Never Say Never and Full Moon. At first, I told myself I was being sensitive and petty, even. This is the business. I whispered to myself, nobody owns sound until he refuses to let me use them on my own songs. So it became a problem when it's like, I'm trying to do my own thing and I'm trying to basically um usher this sound into the zeitgeist you could use whatever you want to use with other people. Like she said, that he built the whole Darkchild brand. He was off doing other sounds with, his sound with other people. And if that's what you want to do, by all means, you go ahead and do that. But for you to sit up in here and tell me that I can't even use my own stacked harmony type situation on my own shit, is gonna piss me off. And the one thing that irritated me about the whole Brandy situation is some people, and I've heard this in the past, this is not even from like this whole book era, where some people go, she didn't invent vocal stacking. There was other people that was vocal stacking. I was like, we know that, you fucking dummy. What we're saying is that there are people that invent things or whatever you want to call it, and then there are people out there who legitimately will take something that, yeah, other people may have done in the past, whether you learn it from church or whatever the case is, and they'll incorporate it and mainstream it for themselves. And that's exactly what Brandy did. So when y'all be out here trying to split hairs and nitpick and those other stuff, that shit gets on my root canal nerve. So other takeaways that we can get from Brandy's memoir. Look, first of all, I feel like at the end of the day, Darkchild, you was grimy as fuck for doing that to her. When you talking about, I'm gonna go sell 5 million records to Beyonce, and it's unfortunate that Beyonce had to get that straight because it's like what you was looking at as a cash cow situation because you feel like you gonna work with somebody who you thought was on a much bigger caliber based on who she was surrounded by and all the amount of money that Columbia was throwing behind the likes of a Beyonce at the time. But you had built something with Brandy because I don't think that if it wasn't for you and Brandy's working together and how much people valued Brandy as an artist, your fat ass wouldn't be where you are today. So they also mentioned in there that he used their trademark sound for other artists, showed beats that ended up hits to Brandy, and told her no when she asked to use them. And don't even get me started on Clive Davis' shady ass. Now I can't wait till the day comes when somebody does a surviving Clive Davis, because that's exactly what we need in this situation, where he instigated that Brandy Monica tension situation, where Brandy wrote and she worked on The Boy Is Mine is her track. She was the one that brought Monica on. Of course, from a business standpoint, you're going to look at it as, well, I'm going to name the album The Boy Is Mine, even though technically it's not Monica's song. And we accumulated this record together, but we're going to use this song because it's the hottest song. I think it was 14 weeks at #1. And I'm going to name this album The Boy Is Mine so we can continue to cash in on this situation, even though it's technically Brandy's song. But back then, we wasn't even looking at it that way. All we knew was we was living for the song. We loved their collaboration. And now what was really going on behind the scenes was that you had these fucking shady ass business people who were trying to create conflict between two women, which has always been the ongoing thing that goes on throughout the industry. And then, of course, because a lot of y'all brain cells are a little fried, you're going to go and do the whole let's pick a side situation instead of looking at the picture from a much bigger standpoint and realize who the real villains in this situation are. And it's the likes of that queen, Clive Davis, who I'm, like I said before, I can't wait till he get what's coming to his ass. So then they also talked about Brandy and Michael Jackson. They were working on Full Moon and Invincible. They were like neighbors. So he was in one room recording Invincible, which I believe Darkchild produced a lot of that record, right? And then Full Moon, she was working on that. And he was giving her pointers for her music. And then they also talked about, which she does mention, Atlantic forced her to work with Kanye because she was like, when I talked about the part where you heard in the audio, where she said, but at that point, what happened with that whole situation, I wanted to work with Timbaland. So she wanted Timbaland to produce the entire record, kind of like what Justin Timberlake does with all his music. Well, if it ain't Timbaland, it's usually Pharrell, and they go back and forth. But for the most part, but except I think, wait, Justified, I don't think was fully produced by Timbaland. I think he worked with both, as I said before. And him being white in the label, they were going to throw all that behind him, Mr. Blue Eyed Soul. But yeah, she wanted to fully work with Timbaland, but Atlantic forced Kanye on her, and they had creative differences throughout. Where I think they said that he said the only way he'll work on that record is that I want one of my songs to be guaranteed as the first single. And so behind her back, he went and sent a final version of Where Do You Want to Be without her approval and basically shrugged it off, was being very smug about it. So I guess she don't particularly care for him, but people think because Kanye's such a genius that he gets away with all the bullshit that he does. So then, after all that drama that transpired, she did ask to be released from Atlantic. She also had an abusive relationship with her backup dancer on tour. She also talks about her eating disorder, which we all knew at one point Brandy was getting a little thin and looking a little skeletal. And she talks about it finally. And also, what people don't realize is because, she gives so much praise to Aaliyah and doesn't want to talk bad about her and, that whole situation. But Aaliyah, from what was mentioned in the book, she didn't want Timbaland to work with Brandy because she didn't want her sound duplicated for other artists. Because it's like, yeah, she did that R. Kelly mess, and I think with her being married to R. Kelly, that tea kind of strained their relationship, and they had to depart. Me and you must never part, monkey dad. They had to do that whole situation. Well, they had to part, not Apart. Say up. Whatever. I done fucked up the color purple joke. But anyway, to bring it on back, she decided, but I totally get it. So I'm not mad at Aaliyah because Aaliyah was able to carve out a sound unlike anything we've ever heard before by working with Timbaland and Missy Elliott. So that was a great thing that worked out. And it was like, yeah, it's no shade or anything, but it's like, that's my thing. And I don't want you trying to duplicate that. And like if Timbaland wants to work with other artists, you can do your thing, but just don't take what we do over here and give that to another female artist or this other person. Because then it's like, how do I distinguish my sound? And people need to look at it at that point. People have a distinct signature that they go with, and that's what they do. Save all your best shit for me. But if you want to work with these other artists and give them and do whatever, you can do that. You just got to learn how to diversify your portfolio. But if you're a one-trick pony like Rich Harrison, then all your shit gonna sound alike. And I think also speaking of Rich Harrison, remember he had a distinct sound that he created with A. Marie. And then all of a sudden he started working with Jennifer Lopez. And then he started working with Get Right. And then, of course, Beyonce. She's always at the center of every damn thing. And say what you want, but remember, Beyonce was hit with that reputation that she was out here swagger jacking other people's sounds, songs, all those other stuff for her to become the artist that she is. She was getting a lot of that. Now she overcompensates by, with the 30 songwriters and stuff she has on her music, she pay every last one of them, and then people feel like that's just enough in that situation. But she was hit with a lot of strays back in the day where she was accused of, oh, you taking other people's shit and then you would just add and the in the song and get a songwriting credit. That's always been the tea regarding Beyonce. And if we're going to talk real, we're going to talk real on this show. We don't sit up in here and just say certain little things because we're worrying about backlash or whatever the case is. I call it as it is. So she also mentioned Dinah Ross gave her advice on proper etiquette and how she lost her CoverGirl deals and sponsorships after her ex, her baby's father, who she said that she was married to, but she said that was his idea of them going on with that, and went on Wendy Williams and revealed they had a fake marriage. And I think at one point, Kelly Rowland went on the Wendy Williams show back when Charlemagne was on there, and there was some tea regarding that. Yeah, Beyonce and Brandy didn't necessarily get along because it was some stuff that was going on behind the scenes, and rightfully so because I understood it at the time. But um, but they were trying to make it seem like Brandy was bitter, and it's just like, look, if I have my own distinct set, you got these old girls on the come up because Brandy was way before Beyonce. Let's be clear. So when you're, I mean, as especially as a solo act, Beyonce was Destiny's Child, then went solo, that sort of thing. So Brandy was first. It was Brandy and it was Aaliyah. That was all coming up around the same time. So when you have Brandy doing her own thing, and then now Beyonce's out here trying to find her way in the world on how she's going to survive post Destiny's Child as a solo artist, you're going to be working with all these different people and trying to find your own distinct sound. And so, yeah, if somebody was taking something that I worked my ass off on, I'm going to feel away. So I really don't feel like, I really hope that people don't take this as Brandy taking a dig at her competition, because if I was an artist with a distinct sound, that's how I would feel. Call me selfish, I don't care, but I wouldn't want to produce it that I created a specific sound with, outsourcing my hard work to other people. It's like you can go off and produce whatever, and y'all do your own thing. You figure out what works for them and work with them. Don't take exactly all the things verbatim that I do and give it to somebody else and go tell me that I'm gonna go make money over here with Beyonce, because now I'm looking at Darkchild fat ass like you ain't shit. Isn't he married to a former performer or a singer or something or another? I can't remember. I can't remember who he's married to, but I remember he was married to another musician, right? So yeah, like I said, we've seen this happen time and time again. I'm glad that Brandy's telling her story. I hope it's not like fabricated, because Brandy was notorious back in the day of saying certain things that people be like, you ain't necessarily being 100% truthful. So I hope that all of this here is, her being true. I love this picture. That's why I had to put it up of her reading her own book. But yeah, shout out to you, Brandy. I can't wait till the book finally gets in my hands because I kept forgetting to order it. But yeah, today after I kept getting like Brandy was screaming loud in my ear with the bullhorn, like bah, bah. So I had to go over on Amazon and get the book real quick before I forgot again. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Did you buy the book? Did you read the book? What did you think of the book? What'd you think of this messy story regarding what she said? Do you agree with her? And do you feel that, yeah, Darkchild, you ain't shit for how you did what you did to her back in the day? And I'm just glad that finally she feels like she's at a place in her life where she feels comfortable enough to tell her truth. So, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Jesus, I gotta go up. Mike Kilman interrupted his Maya posting. Well, I told you I know Mike Kilman. That's Maya's manager. Mike Kilman interrupted his Maya posting as we know he's her. It's funny, and I'm reading it now. You said as we know he's her manager. I didn't even read the rest. I was like, yeah, I know Mike Kilman. That's Maya's manager. Posted a new Madonna quoting future lovers, adding, "Behold, she's coming soon." So that's an official insider source. It's coming. Mariah Carey and Walter Yep. Walt, I could never say his name. Afanasieff, whatever how you say it. I used to call him Walter A. And he said Jack Atnoff and Taylor Swift saw and Sock Aiken Waterman. Yeah, and Kylie Minogue until she had to like part ways with that because and she kept getting kind of lumped in that whole specific sound. I'm not her biggest fan, but I will always it will always amaze how Bey is still so culturally relevant nearly 13 years after her debut. All of her peers from the late 90s, early 2000s are nostalgic acts except her because I think the difference is that Beyonce continues to evolve. And I feel like as a pop star, you can always evolve as a pop act. Whatever wherever you put wherever you're I wouldn't say like following the trends because she doesn't necessarily follow the trends. It's like once she got to that point of like Lemonade, I feel like Beyonce started to transition and be like the true artist, like an artist who's a force to be reckoned with. Maybe she was inspired by Solange because Solange was more the artsy, artistic pop. I mean, the artistic musician, and trying to marry those two into her music, I think definitely helped. Stan Facebook is dragging Gaga, saying someone is desperate for a hit again. I'm kind of gagging because it's funny. She's 40 and working with her artist. She's influenced. Reminds me of Britney and Madonna. Oh, you talking about her and Doechii? That Doechii song I heard, I was like, all right, it's all right. I need to hear the song in full, but I wasn't. I was underwhelmed. And both fan bases hated the track. Britney fans are still saying it's Janet. Some admit Janet dropped the ball, where Madonna was able to establish a friendship and mentorship. There's a bit of Britney. I mean, there's a bit of Janet in there's a bit of Janet up in Britney, I think. But I think it's a mixture. I think she's got a bit of she got a bit of Britney. Britney's got a bit of Janet and a bit of Madonna. I sent you the article. David Ellison says 70% of America is centrist. Are they? Because they're not. The article I shared to you said he's not telling the truth. It's actually 40%. That's why I said like people are becoming more and more progressive. I don't know what he's talking about, but they're old. Well, David Ellison's not that old, but he's his mind is old. Maybe because he's listened to his father too much. Aaliyah not wanting her sound to be duplicated might come off as mean, but she worked so hard for her music, and imagine all that hard work. Absolutely. And then when you listen to Aaliyah, you knew whenever she worked with a certain artist, how you knew immediately when you heard a song. Oh, that's Aaliyah. When you heard Brandy, you automatically knew what it was because Brandy has a distinct voice and you already knew it was her and Darkchild. And the way Darkchild, especially on What About, the way he did, the way she stacks the harmonies on that and the production. And I love singing that song. Why don't you return my call? Why you trip out where I be? You don't never come to see me. You said that you're too busy. I love that damn song. I could just recite that song anytime. But and the way she would just the way the harmonies was stacking and the production, especially the breakdown at the end, where she goes, and then the beat and everything that goes with that. I was like, okay, bitch, y'all better work. And that was a good record. And he tried to pass that off to other people. It's like, sir, please. I love where you want to be, but I feel like Audio should have been. So first of all, and that what talk about our love, that should not have been a first single. It's a good song. That should have been a first single. not for a Brandy album. And Atlantic act like they knew every damn thing because Kanye was hot at that point. But that wasn't a good single. And I feel like first impressions are everything. And once we get to the meat and potatoes of Aphrodisiac, then it's like you don't even realize how good that record was. So yeah, they chose wrong with the singles. Rich Harrison should have kept Get Right for A. Marie. Hmm. I we know that. Damn, she lost her cover girl deal. Didn't know that. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. No, he's not. So I said he ain't shit. Let's not forget that the first Destiny Child album bombed, despite going Records on the Wall was when they broke the mold. I remember the first time I heard Destiny Child, I know exactly where I was. I was at Six Flags Great Adventure, and they was playing the Destiny Child music out there. I was like, "Who's that?" She's not. What is that? A coon? A raccoon? What is that? He said, "I like Beyonce, but I want to see her in a room by herself." Well, we know that's not happening. And I don't mind people coming in having like a writer or two, or someone who I feel like if you're not necessarily a writer, whatever's going on in your life, if you have any ideas, whatever the case is, present them, and the people come up with the stuff, and you arrange the vocals, whatever. There's there's other ways that you can contribute. But if you're not a writer, like people love Celine Dion. She don't write her music. TLC came back and it was extremely hard for Destiny's Child to push through, but there was no guaranteed success. It took the member drama to put on them on the map. I'm still not paying $30 for a celebrity member. You don't have to. It's like sometimes people feel the excerpts is enough. Darkchild, a messy Leo. I didn't even know what his sign was, but that makes sense now that you said he a Leo. But Gaga didn't evolve the way her little monsters think because Mayhem. Well, yeah, Mayhem does feel like a mature version of the Fame Monster. I just don't feel like there's enough hits on that album to even be in the same caught under the same breath. I was watching this video earlier. I think it was from Complex, if I'm not mistaken, of Slater, where she had to listen to two songs and pick one or the other. They had her up against Britney's "Gimme More" and Lady Gaga. I can't remember the name of the song, and I was like, "That's the song y'all picked." Now, if y'all would have picked like one of the bigger hits, I understand it, but they wanted an easy situation. I was like, first of all, anything up against "Gimme More," Britney's automatically gonna win because everybody knew where they were when they first heard that song, and I feel like that song is so infectious. The minute it turns on, it takes you back to like takes you at a time like I'm in the club and I'm feeling my oats and all that other stuff. Like that's why I think that song takes you. It takes you literally to another place. I wish people would get out of Beyonce's ass. She's a paid hype, and you know her music drops off once the hype is over. Where's Cowboy? Yeah, ain't nobody really out here. Yeah, nobody out here is taking. Nobody out here still talking about Cowboy Carter, unless they want to do like some 45-minute YouTube think piece. I didn't even know Stan Facebook was a thing. It was in the 2010s. I remember the death threats, the bullying. It only ended when Facebook sent everybody to jail. Wait, they don't even put people in Facebook jail anymore. Remember Facebook jail? People don't even go in there anymore. That killed Stan Facebook, but it's still there. Minors left because the threats was wild. I feel the same way. Talk About Our Love should have never been a single. It's good, but it was lackluster compared to the album. Absolutely. And we all know that the Timbaland stuff was way Look, I said the same shit about Madonna's Hard Candy. The the um the Pharrell stuff is much stronger than the Timbaland stuff. Just like on Aphrodisiac, the Timbaland production is stronger than the Kanye production. I'm like, you was over here forcing your hand on this album, and this is the best you can come up with, sir? They still make fun of Beyonce for having 52 writers, but because of the samples she had to include them, people said she could not use samples. Say this album is more of a quiet as it's kept. Say this album is more of a Mayhem album. Absolutely, because when you listen to Mayhem, I'm like, this is not the title that should be given to this record. And I hate that black wig that she wears in it too. It looks very much, it looks cheap. It's giving Hot Topic tease. Not tired. Well, yeah, he was tired. His production was tired on that album, but I prefer Pharrell's production over Timbaland's on the Hard Candy record. As controversial as that may sound. All right, anyway. I mean, and all right, anyway. All right, everybody is what I want to say. Let's move on to our next topic. And let's talk about Ku Klux Khaleesi, aka Fake Lively, who is still running off at the bits about this damn situation. Now, I saw this over on People like maybe a couple of minutes before I was going to go live. So I pulled the People magazine article where they talk about that the legal war against Justin Baldoni has been emotionally taxing, and amid all the setbacks. So she's going through it right now, and I guess in regards to Miss Ku Klux Khaleesi, she can cry her damn self a river because I don't feel no ways tired about her. So let's get into the article. So they said that in the wake of the latest setback in Lively's case, the Thursday, April 2nd dismissal of the bulk of her claims against It Ends With Us director co-star Baldoni, a source tells People that the legal proceedings have been emotionally taxing for the actress producer, who's 38, saying she didn't file this lawsuit thinking it would be easy. In the filing, Lively alleged misconduct on the Colleen Hoover adaptation set a retaliatory smear campaign, which Baldoni has denied. I actually think that who was it that did it? Was it the Times? New York Times, y'all owe him an apology for that thing because y'all came out with that whole smearation situation before we even knew there was a situation going on, which I think she fed y'all information and had y'all put out this smear campaign because of how powerful she is. Well, I should say how powerful her husband is and how powerful his wallet is, because I'm sure she was probably using a lot of his coins to get this case going. Because we all know fake Lively ain't out here balling the way she trying to claim. That's her husband's money. So she knew it would be a long, challenging process, but she felt it was something she needed to do. The legal battle has been emotionally taxing, but Blake has stayed focused. Now, the Gossip Girl alum's allegations have never changed, and she's looking forward to her day in court. She's balancing this all with all her responsibilities at home. As a mom, she has many other priorities which help her stay grounded. The insider is adding that the mom of four, she shares daughters James, who's 11, Inez, who's 9. Why would you name your daughter James? And Betty, 6, and son Olin, who's 3, with husband Ryan Reynolds, is excited for some quiet time this summer with her family once this is behind her. The newly insight into Lively's mindset amid her legal battle with Baldoni comes shortly after the actress shared a message to her fans and followers ahead of the former co-star's high-profile threat. And I do have that courtesy of Popcorn Planet. Shout out to Andy Sigmore over there, who went and posted this on his Instagram with corrections. Because Miss Thing out here putting out this fake ass post, and he put in some little corrections in the situation. So he posted in his headline, "We are sick and tired of Blake Lively and Van City Reynolds, is that their name? Gaslighting digital PR spin. The fact that she, once again, is cherry picking out of context quotes from a massive legal loss, spinning it to sound like a victory is insane. Blake seems to be spiraling. It's time to fact check her statements regarding the It Ends With Us ruling. Also, yes, that's our song playing in the background. Spread the word. I think I might have it on mute. But anyway, so yeah, so we're gonna go through some of what they said. Now, her attorney from Michael Gottlieb, and then we'll read her what she had said after the fact. But they said it is completely unsurprising that Brian Freeman does not understand the court's actual ruling. He didn't even argue the summary judgment motion he's now spinning, had to bring in another law firm, excuse me, for the trial, and that's just last week was reprimanded by the court for having filed legally frivolous claims. So then they put as the fact check, if Lively wants to discuss legally frivolous claims, look at the 10 of their 13 just dismissed. Gottlieb firm built an entire public narrative around sexual harassment claims a federal judge threw out entirely. Baldoni has zero personal liability on an order signed by Judge Lyman. No spin. If anyone not understanding his ruling, it's not Freeman. Sounds like Darvo to us. And y'all know Andy Sigmore has been harassed repeatedly by Blake's legal team because he's been really going and doing the digging and all this other stuff, and they've been coming at him. Also, I saw, I don't know how recent it is, but I saw Perez Hilton also from his deathbed was recording himself going in on Blake Lively and saying how her team harassed him for reporting on her in this whole situation and how he refused to back down. And when he finally got a legal team that was going to represent him, they backed off. So they've been trying to use their money and the power and the influence and the fact that she's an A-list celebrity to strong arm influencers and podcasters and people such as myself. They're trying to shut us up because they don't want us reporting the real story. They want to be able to control the narrative like they did with the Times, where you could go in and feed them whatever it is because y'all are all in cahoots with each other. A lot of these companies and the media and stuff, certain people work hand in hand with certain celebrities because they want to have that access. So they're not going to come in and tell you the truth on what's going on. So they're going to try to spin it to go after the little guy, and the little guy being Justin Baldoni because he's not somebody who has a lot of leverage in the entertainment industry. So they're going to go after him and try to shut him up. But I'm glad that he stayed the course. I'm glad that he has a lot of influencers who've been doing their homework and their due diligence behind the scenes and have been digging up stuff and holding Blake's fake ass feet to the fire. But that's not all because we got more. So let's go through the rest of it. So then they said, what the court actually decided yesterday is the Blake Lively provided evidence to go to trial on her core claims, but she spoke out against what she believes. I can't believe as small as I can actually read it, was sexual harassment on the set and suffered retaliation and harmed her reputation as a result. The court held in painstaking detail that Ms. Lively provided sufficient evidence of all the following, saying that she privately spoke out about and negotiated changes to on-set behavior by Justin Baldoni. Journey, wait, now I was like, now I'm struggling to read this because it's so damn tiny. And it said, what is it, Jamie Heath? That she and others found disturbing. So now the fact checking comes in. They said the court held in painstaking detail. Let's be precise. She spoke up and was heard. Her own words after, perfectly professional and sterile and lovely. Number two, she reasonably believed she was harassed, a procedural finding, not a verdict. The very next page lists incidents that would not support a hostile work environment claim. Number three, Baldoni's actual quote. The judge references this is the kind of person that genuinely believes she's right and that all of this is unjust. That's his defense, not a confession. Number four, they crossed the line. That is the question going to trial, not a finding. And all these claims will be heard by the jury. No, only three claims against corporate entities, not Baldoni personally. So they also said Gottlieb listed four things the court held. It held none of them conclusively. Surviving summary judgment and winning at trial are two very different things. Then they go into the whole thing about, and because of yesterday's decision, all of the claims will be heard by the jury. And here is what the court actually said about Ms. Lively's sexual harassment claims. A person in her position could have understood the workplace to, at times, reflect a gendered and sexualized view of women and a disregard for their privacy sufficient to make it reasonable to complain about a hostile work environment based on sex and gender. The court's ruling that Miss Lively's state and federal harassment claims could not go to trial and was about legal issues rather than the endorsement of the defendant's conduct. So then they also, so now the fact checking comes in. It says Gottlieb quotes the judge saying a person in her position could have understood the workplace to reflect a gendered and sexualized view of women. What they doesn't quote the same ruling on page 108 in the very next section. Several of the incidents either would not support a hostile work environment or would do so at most and minimally or in context. The circumstance comment, the weight concerns, the dance scene, the screenplay edits. The judge walks through them individually and dismisses them one by one, who only shared part of page 116 and buried page 108 of the court's ruling, who's actually spinning the story here. And a lot of times what I was hearing is that she only filmed, I think, 50 days and she was a nightmare on set because she was trying to have, oh, I want this and I want this, and was being a nuisance, and they were complying and giving her everything because she was the star and she was the co-producer or whatever the case was. But I feel like all of it stems from she was getting upset because she was not able to control everything on the set. She wanted to come in and bulldoze and bully her way into a situation and take over this man's movie because she felt he was inexperienced, which I know, well, he's filmed things before. That's not the point. A lot of times you get these A-list celebrities that act like they Steven fucking Spielberg, but they want to come in and take over people's stuff instead of letting the director do their job that they were paid to do. It was his movie, it was his thing. Let Justin direct, but she wanted to come in and act like it was her thing and try to take over. So there's way more. If y'all want to definitely read it, because we ain't gonna be here all day. It's like literally, it looked like 8 or 10 more pages of this. Definitely head over to Andy Signal or Popcorn Planet over there on Instagram where y'all can read all of the fact checking that he did. Otherwise, we're gonna be spending 40 minutes covering this. But last but certainly not least, let's get into this story. So according to Rob Shooter, he said Blake Lively is being urged to drop the lawsuit because enough damage has been done. So he says the pressure is mounting on Blake Lively, and this time it's coming from inside her own circle. Sources tell Naughty But Nice that friends, family, even those closest to her, are quietly urging the actress to walk away from her ongoing legal battle, saying people around Blake are begging her to settle. One insider reveals they think enough damage has already been done, and after a judge dismissed the majority of her claims, dramatically narrowing the case, those concerns have only intensified, saying this is not the win she thinks it is. The case is weaker now, and it's not stronger, but she's not backing down, saying that she's framing this as something bigger, a fight about digital violence and speaking out. No, what you're trying to do is silence a lot of people like us who are reporting on these stories. It has nothing to do with digital violence. You're not worrying about, oh, your poor reputation, whatever, because clearly your reputation is shot. And I feel like you continue to keep this on, people in the industry is going to start looking at you as a liability. I don't think they give a goddamn who your husband is, but um if your next project comes out and it flops, they're probably like, okay, she's washed, we're done. We'll go with, like I said the last time, the Timo Blake Lively, which it would be Micah Monroe. And we'll start casting her, even though she's become more like diving more into the horror stuff. But she did a recent Colleen Hoover book to movie called Reminders of Him, which did moderately successful at the box office. I think that's all is now available to watch at home on digital. But when it was in the movies, it did fairly well. I'm not saying it ends with us money, but it was a moderately successful movie because people like Colleen Hoover. And I will say, when I did see the trailers in the movies, I did get a little emotional. So I do want to see it. But I'll wait until it comes out on one of the cable or the streaming services or whatever, and I'll check it out. But yeah, ma'am, in the words of Elsa from Frozen, let it go. I think you need to move on. I know you're probably thinking that, oh, this is me admitting defeat. I'm going to look weak in this situation. You're already out here in these streets looking crazy. So I don't know if it's a good idea that you need to keep this whole case and situation going when the judge threw out majority of your stuff. So it's looking good so far on just the Baldoni's part. And like I said before, that whole hit piece that the New York Times put out because of the information you were feeding them, they owe Justin an apology. But we know they fake asses over there aren't going to give it to him. So, um, in regards of all of this whole situation, this is going to affect all of you. Like your image is looking crazy, your career's out here looking crazy. All this I'm hearing is taking its toll. Oh, and she put out this long post. I forgot to put this out. Um, it's going to be hard to read actually because it's so damn little, but I just want to give you an idea because she put it up on her stories, right? So yeah, this is the overall post that she put up in regards of, her situation about the grateful for the court's ruling, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. But the funny part I took from this was Piers Morgan, because that's where I got it from. His remark, he said, I read a lot of laughably disingenuous celebrity guff in my time, but this statement by Blake Lively takes the proverbial biscuit. She is destroying her brand with this ridiculous case and is now reduced to playing the I'm doing it for the world's children card. Pathetic. And I definitely agree with that. That it is definitely giving. that you're just literally trying to play like you a real victim in this situation. There's real victims out here who are being sexually harassed on the job and on movie sets by directors and things of that nature. We've heard the stories during the Me Too times of era, and even most recently, when you have people coming out saying all the things. Brandy talking about the stuff she had to endure from people in the industry. So when you hearing stuff like this, and then you got this old clown running around here trying to act like she a damn victim in whatever, when it's just your ego is bruised and you're mad about it. So I'm going to file frivolous lawsuits and waste taxpaying dollars and your husband's money on a case that you're not going to win. You can't win until you get out of the game. In the words of Michael Jackson, you can't win this case. You can't win, child. You can't win, sis. Let it go. So that's all I got on this right now. I will definitely keep you guys abreast of this crazy story as it develops. But I say all of this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Ku Klux Khaleesi out here showing her entire ass, and she's still running around bitter and upset and trying to act like she the sojourner truth of sexual harassment because she want to be out here acting like she Norma Ray and shit, trying to start a revolution because she ain't get her way on the set of this It Ends With Us, which I'm hearing that she did get a lot of the things that she wanted, but I guess because she mad over this whole thing of just about doing whatever dramas they had, she just still being a bit of Betty. So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Her latest IG post basically labeled Brian Freeman a liar. She posted, I couldn't even find the IG post on there. I was glad that I came across the Piers Morgan Twitter thingy because I was on there looking. She got pictures of her husband, so I didn't even see it there. But calling Brian Freeman a liar and not understanding that they can still lose, and Brian hates females, so just okay, girl, please. No, people don't hate females; they hate you. Why would you call her Ku Klux Khaleesi? Because it's funny. Um, Not Perez Hilton commenting from his deathbed. Look, that's why I was saying I was like, damn, should I even go with that read? I mean, he technically was in the bed and he was dying. So I was like, yeah, he commenting from his deathbed on, her. She's giving Evil Dead rise. The South will rise again. All right, y'all. So now let's go from one messy, washed up celebrity to another. And let's talk about Jonathan Majors. So I know the last time we talked, we was talking about that Jonathan Majors had worked on some movie that was being produced from the Daily Wire, which is owned by that whiny nasal nose queen. Um, with the noodle dick. What's his name? Ben Shapiro. And there's some guy that Dallas Sonier's Bonfire Legend. So they're behind this action film. They said that it's untitled, but what I'm hearing, it is a sequel to a movie called Run Hide Fight, which the only time I know about Run Hide Fight is every year at Madison Square Garden, we have to watch a video about if we in a situation where people come in with pow pows blazing, you gotta run, you gotta hide, and if you need to, you gotta fight. So that apparently they made a movie on that and it did okay at the box office or wherever they played it. And so now Jonathan Majors is working on this new movie and there was footage of him falling through a damn window. And I actually got the footage. So let me set up the scenario for a second before we get to said footage. So they said just over a week after several crew members walked off the South Carolina set for Jonathan Majors' upcoming action film, more details about the safety concerns that led to the strike have emerged. Now, Jonathan Major's career, as y'all know, took a major hit in late 2023 when he was found guilty of putting paws on that white woman, that he was dating, where they basically hit him with third-degree assault as well as harassment. Now, in addition to being sentenced to 1 year of DV counseling, he was also dropped from many projects, including the Dennis Rodman movie, which I'm trying to believe who they say was going to be playing Dennis Rodman. Latique Stanfield, I believe they said was going to be playing him, which kind of makes sense because I could definitely see Tariq playing him. I mean, Latique. I said Tariq because I'm thinking of Tariq, the other guy, from Reminders of Him and Him and Reminders of Him. That's a sequel. So Oh yeah, he was supposed to come back as King the Conqueror, which y'all know they went and scrapped all that and decided, oh God, we're stuck. It's kind of like they had themselves a Scream 7 moment. So it was like, oh, we had these initial plans. Now do we do? Go back to basics. So let's go. Like they had to go and scrap, scrape the bottom of the barrel. Like, oh, let's bring back, and there's no shade to Nev Campbell, but let's bring back Nev Campbell to Scream because they love her and nostalgia, and we gotta bring it. And look, it ended up being a huge hit for them. Now they had to do that with Robert Downey Jr. as freaking Doctor Doom, which I'm still kind of side-eyeing that choice. But that's what they went. I'm willing to have an open mind. We'll see. So now they mentioned in recent weeks, Mater has been filming an upcoming untitled action movie from the Daily Wire and Bonfire Legend. That said, words come in that the actor fell out a window during the filming of the flick, and that's just the tip of the proverbial iceberg when it comes to the problems this production is reportedly facing. Now we'll get into what the issues are that's going behind the scenes because Deadline got the exclusive video of them showing Jonathan Majors and JC Kilcoyne, his co-star in the film, falling out a window while performing in a scene. And according to sources who spoke with the outlet, they said the accident happened after an unsecured sheet of tempered glass was put in place that was going to be shattered in a stunt film later that didn't involve any actors. Majors and Kilcoyne, as well as the sheet of glass, fell about 6 feet. So clearly, y'all working on a movie set, don't know dick about stunt work, don't know what the hell y'all doing. Y'all just think that y'all can just get like put money behind a set, get a bunch of people to work on things, and set up a scenario, have a couple of cameras, and then just start filming like guerrilla style. And that's why unions and things in places like IATSE is in place, which they've been boycotting and striking on this film because y'all are going about things the wrong way. So let's get to that clip in case y'all haven't seen it. And we will come back and we will talk. Please hold. So you see up there, the only black person in the shot.
And camera set. Here we go, guys. Ready? In 3,
He got the
2,
gun.
1, action! No!
Yeah, so they fell back, and then they both went out the window.
Yeah. Good? I'm good. You good?
I'm good, right?
Did we shoot it?
We shot it.
Use it. I'm good.
We're okay.
I'm good. I'm good. Good.
So they basically say, "Are you good?" and then telling them to use the footage. And I'm sitting there like, so y'all just willing to just be I just feel like at this point with Jonathan Majors, he just so happy to be on a set and getting work because he's been out here on the struggle bus as an actor that he's just gonna put up with whatever it is that they got going on over there and think that's okay. Like, what if you weren't okay and glass went into and fractured an artery and you ended up not in the union no more? Then all of a sudden Megan Good, I almost said Megan Fox, Megan Good is a damn widow. Then what you gonna do? File a lawsuit, sue Ben Shapiro, wannabe Hollywood ass? Because what people don't know this about Ben Shapiro, once upon a time, probably not that long ago, maybe it was long ago. Ben Shapiro wanted to be a screenwriter. He was a failed screenwriter, couldn't hack it in Hollywood. This is why when you see a lot of these so-called conservatives that are very anti-Hollywood and don't like the movie industry or say all that crazy liberal whatever when it comes to Hollywood, which trust to believe, there's a lot of people that work in Hollywood that are far more conservative than you realize. But they put on this facade that they're, very liberal, very open-minded, that sort of thing. A lot of them are not. But when you see like a lot of these bitter Bettys, like the Megyn Kelly's man face looking ass, and then you see Ben Shapiro with that nasally, annoying ass, whiny voice of his, where they sit and they say all this shit about Hollywood. It's like because y'all couldn't hack it, because you couldn't make it in the business, and you're bitter about it. So y'all have to find other ways of getting around the situation in order to have some kind of proximity to the industry. So one source claimed that Kilcoyne required stitches all over his hand. Afterwards, and another crew member claimed that when they arrived on set later to reset the scene, nobody mentioned anything about people falling out a window. It seemed weird to me. While reps for Majors did not return Deadline's request for comment, Reps for Kilcoyne said that he is doing well and was taken care of immediately by production, and that he didn't feel unsafe on the set and continues to have a positive experience working on the project. Well, that's code for you're not going to rock the boat. You need a gig. Y'all need a job. You're not going to say anything remotely against the situation. Well, if you're saying that now, I don't want to hear years later when y'all backs up against the wall and he's called out and situations happen that, oh, I was feeling away and now I want to cut. No, bitch, because you said that you was fine. You said there was no issues. So don't come years later, all of a sudden trying to move the goalposts because now you want a piece of the pie, like you moving on up to the east side. So as already stated, they said this is just one of the many issues that are reportedly popped up during the filming of the Daily Wire movie. Other examples include crew members having no meetings with department heads or writer-director Kyle Rankin about complex stunts or the use of prop firearms. And y'all remember how Brandon Lee passed away from getting a gun on set and remember the whole situation with the woman, what was she, a cinematographer, whatever the case was, that was on that movie with Alec Baldwin? Did that movie ever come out? I don't even remember if that movie actually was released. I think it might have been, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. The Western that everybody was calling him a Red Rummer. So yeah, so they got the what was it? The prop firearms, the crew protesting when scenes were originally going to be shot in a building that was found to contain black mold, and concern over the movie's special effects supervisor, Chris Bailey, who was sentenced to probation for illegally possessing explosive materials on a Savannah movie set. What in the ghetto as fuck movie set is going on? Because this is a mess. This is why I said everybody cannot be out here just making movies willy-nilly and not thinking that there's a lot of protocols that have to be put in place, especially if you're doing an action film. You can't just do that shit guerrilla style. This ain't the 80s or the 90s, because they used to do crazy stuff like this. The stuff that you could get away with back in the day, you cannot do that now. They said it's gotten bad enough that on March 26th, the IATSE, International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, called for a general strike on this Jonathan Majors fronted movie because of these labor issues and safety concerns. Dallas Saunier, who runs Bonfire Legends, said in a statement that these producers have no intention of negotiating for a collective bargaining agreement with the IATSE. He claims that these strikers are trying to sabotage the few people who are still producing. We don't negotiate. Really? We don't negotiate with communists? Y'all sound dumb as fuck. So now, Jonathan Majors' movie isn't officially titled. Deadline has heard it's actually called, as I told y'all before, Run, Hide, Fight. Well, I said part two, but they said Run, Hide, Fight, Infidels, and is an anthology sequel to Kyle Rankin's 2020 movie, Run, Hide, Fight. The story is also allegedly taking influence from action movies like Red Dawn and Toy Soldiers. It's so sad to see how the mighty has fallen. Jonathan Majors was such a good actor. He had so much promise. I remember when I saw him on that the first time I came across someone like a Jonathan Majors, I watched him in that show that was on HBO. What was it called? With Journey Smollett. And I think wasn't Coleman Domingo on that show too? It was this black rooted series, very much like a supernatural series, whatever. I liked the show when it was on for that one season. I was mad when they canceled it, but and then he showed promise in Creed 3. Then he's been in other films, Magazine Dreams. So I always liked seeing Jonathan Majors in lots. I didn't like his Kang because I felt like the way that they wrote him was just stupid. I just didn't like how they worked on that character. But um it was just sad. It's just sad to see like this is where your career is, and this is the only way that you can get a gig. I'm sure there have been other ways that you can go out there and get work, but not in a situation where you willing to put your life in danger and possibly end up no longer in the union because you're working on these ununionized movies. And to you ain't negotiating with communists. Yeah, okay, you'll be negotiating with somebody when one of your stars ends up dead from y'all not following the right protocol. But anyway, that's the latest on that story. I will definitely have more on that as it develops. But in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from you all. What do you guys think of this messy story regarding John the Majors? And I showed y'all the footage of him falling out the window. Yeah, I'm good. So, of course, what else is he going to say? You motherfuckers. How dare you not make sure all this stuff is about? Like, I would have loved to have seen a temper tantrum because, these actors do be giving that when they're on these sets. But you always got to act like you a team player because you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to say anything crazy, or you don't want to lose an opportunity of like down the road you won't get another gig nowhere, because this is unfortunately in the situation he's in, where he's not getting booked for anything. He probably looks at this as good as it's gonna get in regards of the movie department, of him being able to do what he loves, which is the act. So, but then I'm like, you couldn't have gone like, go to Cuba Gooding Jr. route, do those straight to Hulu washed up action movies. So maybe you could have went into that direction. But of all people, you working with some damn Ben Shapiro, really? Okay, I guess all money is good money in that department. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Thank you. It was Lovecraft Country. I cannot remember the name of that damn show, but I did like it. She even went to try to sue him, and he went to represent himself and made him insane to show that he's not friendly for the court system. But we talking about Perez Hilton? Not was Putin after him. Word is Disney knows the Grogu movie is. We know that movie's gonna fly. I don't know why they put it in the box in the movies. Speaking of which, I gotta get my ticket for Dune 3. They already went on sale for IMAX. I totally forgot that I need to get my ticket. Disney knows the Grogu movie is gonna flop, as they waited way too long to do a Star Wars film. Pedro Pascal fatigue, and it reeks Kathleen Kennedy. Oh well, they'll blame it on her. They'll probably say, "Oh, this is a Kathleen Kennedy project," so that way they can move into the next era, which would be that last Starfighter film with Ryan Gosling. But yeah, when you look at something like a Mandalorian Grogu, which we would get to watch on the streaming service, and now you're trying to put it in the movies. And when you look at the overall aesthetic of the film, it doesn't pop. Like, it literally looks like an expensive episode of The Mandalorian. That's what it looks like. So people are probably feeling like, why would I want to go to the movies and spend why would I want to go to the movies and see that when I've been watching it, I was gonna say for free, but it's not. I mean, unless y'all using that VPN thingy or y'all bootlegging it online, which you can do with shows. Why would I go spend money to go see that in the theater? Why would I spend $25 on a ticket when I could just wait till watch it for free at home or whatever? Exactly. Alyssa Edwards. I smell a stunt too. No, he's not. He's fine. I believe he spoke out on it. I just didn't care what his statement was, because it's probably going to be some typical Hollywood ass statement. Do better business like 500 million at 750. Grogu should have been a straight to streaming film, but because, well, you could have just did another damn season of The Mandalorian. Nobody asked for a Mandalorian movie. He said, I don't like Hollywood either. But it has its good and bad points. I think Hollywood is fake. You're right. Some of these Hollywood types just play to what's trending, which is why we see all these theories on YouTube, like, why is Hollywood dying and all this other stuff. Which, those are good videos. Yeah, ask Alec Baldwin crazy ass Haley Bieber's uncle. Oh, yeah, it's funny. It is Haley Bieber's uncle. I totally forgot, because Stephen Baldwin is her father. I do a lot of work, but I'm not mainstream. It's really fun doing what I love and not being bothered. But that's a good thing, right? You can run around here and just do whatever you want without being bothered. There's a lot of people that would hopefully get to that point in their life and career. Now, Republicans don't like to follow rules and negotiate. Of course they don't. But when you're putting lives on the line to cut corners, you have to deal with those repercussions. And we'll see who actually distributes and picks up that film if it ends up going into the movies. All right, so now let's get back into the show. And let's talk about Charli XCX allegedly being a thief and stealing Scott Ferreira's music. So, the Wuthering Heights movie, I haven't seen it, but I did listen to the soundtrack, and I will say I love the soundtrack. However, Scott Ferreira went on social media the other day and kind of implied that Charli was out here stealing her demos and using them for the movie. So on Saturday, April 4th, Scott Ferreira dropped by a fan's Instagram comments after they reported a clip of the singer's 2012 music video, Everything is Embarrassing. Damn, she's been out of commission that long, on Twitter. With the retweet, they questioned, I wonder what's her form of income. Now, Ferreira was led to the user's IG page, commenting on their most recent post, writing, someone sent me your Twitter account. I toured for years. I work. I hate to break it to you, but your favorite artist records my old songs. I hope that answers your question. XOXO Gossip Girl. No, she didn't say that last part. The XOXO she did say. So Charlie XCX's team has weighed in on Scott Ferreira's, who seemed to suggest several of her old demos were used on Charlie's Wuthering Heights soundtrack album without proper credit. Now, Ferreira was credited as a writer and vocalist on one album cut, Eyes of the World, but an exchange with a fan account on social media appeared to indicate that she made an additional contribution that weren't officially acknowledged. In a statement shared with Billboard, Charlie's team countered, insisting that proper accreditation procedures were followed and all credits were finalized and formally approved by the appropriate parties prior to the album's release. The whole thing spiraled out when a Twitter post by Charlie Ferreira fan account at Sky Ferrari, which has a sizable following and is apparently well known enough to warrant an Easter egg mention in Charlie's 360 video. They're quipping about how Ferreira, who notably hasn't released an album since her 2013, damn, it's been that long since her debut, makes an income prompted a response from Ferreira in Instagram saying, I toured for years. I work, hate to break it to you, blah, blah, blah. We already read that. Now, the fan account will then claimed to contact an industry insider about Ferreira's alleged extra work on Wuthering Heights. They posted a screen grab of an alleged exchange with this anonymous industry insider who said the Chains of Love intro was ripped from an old Ferreira demo called Ancient Idols, and that the Wuthering Heights track Altars, which I do love that song, by the way, was based on another Ferreira demo from 2015. The original Twitter post containing the screen grab from this alleged exchange has since been deleted. Well, funny enough, if you listen to a lot of the music, it does kind of give Sky Ferreira tease in regards of like the overall, like the tone, the sound, the delivery, and the vocals, or even kind of like the sonicness of the music. So I was kind of thinking that in the back of my head, but then we saw like that she got that one credit, so it kind of got me wondering. And Charlie kind of been accused of stealing people's shit in the past, so I wouldn't be surprised. And it's a tale as old as time when you get a lot of these bigger stars who are notorious for taking other people's demos that aren't being used, and they use it for their own stuff. Like we heard, didn't Fifi Dobson recently come out and speak on that a lot of stuff that she had worked on because she was a black girl who was doing rock music, and a lot of her stuff was being passed off to people like Miley Cyrus and I think Selena Gomez at one point, and even um who else? It was a couple of others. I think even Demi Lovato started recording her stuff. So back on Instagram, Ferreira said the insider was wrong, though with the caveat, close but wrong. She declined to expand further, however, saying only, it was definitely more than an intro. I have proof of everything with dates. It isn't worth the trouble because I know how the world works. Now, in a separate comment, Ferreira added, I wasn't going to say anything. I'm over being dragged and humiliated for no reason. It brought back a lot of things I've worked really hard to move past. I don't want the actions of multiple people fucking things up for me and my album. I'm an honest person. People don't care about the truth. It's about whatever narrative is fitting or more exciting. I'm glad I could finally move on with my life. As for a statement from Charlie's team, it stresses that they said she always shares credits fairly and appropriately and values her collaborators tremendously due to her own history of working as a songwriter for other artists over the years. And I was going to say that, sis, now you run around here writing songs for other people behind the scenes, because people did try to come for Charlie and her music, saying, "Oh, she's not a good writer." So she said, "Bitch, first of all, I've been writing a lot of songs for your faves that you may not even realize, and y'all out here trying to discredit me as a songwriter. She can write. The girl's good with her pen, but if you out here taking people's stuff and not giving the proper credit, I don't like that, because I feel like people need to be fair in their own situation." But she's saying she is, and Scott's saying that people aren't being truthful in a lot of stuff. Then who do you believe? I don't know. I probably would believe Sky because Sky been through it, and I guess because of I'm trying to remember what was the reason why she was kind of like blacklisted. If from what I remember, I was having conversations with people. Robert was basically friend to the show was insinuating that it was she topless on one of her album covers or whatever, and people were being all conservative Camilla about it. So that kind of hurt her music release on one of her albums. I don't think it was the debut. I think it was supposed to be the sophomore album. They ended up getting shelved. So they also went on to say, ahead of the Wuthering Heights album release, a standard review process was conducted on a small number of tracks from the album, including fragments of material originating from earlier sessions. This process involved managers, legal reps, artists, and producers, and included a thorough review of archival materials and demo recordings. All relevant parties were consulted throughout, and the album was played in full in advance of release for everyone. Songwriting credits and splits were determined and agreed collectively in writing with interference in documented timelines and contributions. So maybe she was inspired and maybe heard some of Sky's demos, was owned by the label, and maybe took influence from that and just reworked some things. But if she's saying that she gave proper credit, then I guess if you're not gonna be fully transparent in the whole situation, I hate when she said that because she said, look, it took her a long time to get to where she is today, where people are leaving her alone, but she's tired of the lies. She's tired of the narrative that a lot of people have taken in regards to her career and a lot of what she's had to endure behind the scenes, which we don't know anything about. But it would just be nice if I feel like if look, somebody out here stealing your shit, you need to be a little more transparent. You can't just throw a couple of little crumbs out there and then we're still left confused at the end of the day. We still trying to decode all the stuff that you put out there and pick up the pieces because now we're just like, okay, we got some information, but now we're still kind of being left with a bunch of questions that have yet to be answered. So I honestly don't know what to think at this point. My brain is just all over the place, but I definitely want to hear from y'all. If you could decipher and decode all of this, let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. Or should I say, who team we on? Let's do like RuPaul's Drag Race. Are you team Charli XCX or team Sky Ferreira? Like y'all gonna be team Darlene Mitchell when she win RuPaul's Drag Race season 18. Let me know in the comments down below. Darlene's not gonna win. It'll be Mikey Meats. We have waited 84 years for Ferreira's masochism, bitch. It ain't never coming out. Oh yeah, that was the name of the album. I totally forgot. Poor Sky Ferreira, so much potential, but so little effort on her part. Listening to her only album with Dolby Atmos was a magical experience. The Sky Ferrari account was my mutual on my old Stan Twitter account. He's an actual fan of her, but like most fans of once in a blue moon musicians, we lose patience and entertain ourselves with mess. I believe it. It reminds me of Rena's situation and Charlie's side with Maddie Hill. Oh, Rena Sawayama. Where's she been? Guilty by association to Michael Jackson, maybe. The topless. Oh yeah, this is the topless album cover. I promise you, her blacklisting was not because of her titties on the album cover, especially because it's on every streaming service. Gaga got diagnosed with respiratory infection. Ew, I had that. She thinks she can beat it in one day. I had it. It's a lung infection. The tour is canceled. No, but she got a couple more days. Look, she got until when is she doing? When is she closing the tour? I think it's next Monday. Yeah, it's like the way she been out here singing. Um, she gotta go on vocal rest, so she's gonna have to probably cancel a lot of those dates. But next week, when is it? The 13th, I believe. Yeah, next Monday. She's supposed to be her final curtain call is at Madison Square Garden. That's the final show. So she needs to figure out what she's gonna do in that regard because if you got a lung infection, you have to clear that up. You can't clear that up in one day unless you got somebody that's gonna go inside your throat and scrape all that shit out. Like they got magical, like Neo when he scooped that bullet out of Trinity. If you could do something like that, and make it on stage the next day, that ain't happening. I was just joking, but of course, let's play along because we messy over here. He said both of their music is not all that swinging over. H&M music is not H&M music. I haven't been in the H&M in years. I don't even know what they playing in there, but I can imagine like that would be it. Charli XCX and probably some Taylor Swift. Handsome Scott Ferreira. If anything, Scott was blacklisted because she got arrested. What? That's why we blacklisted people because they was arrested. Like that's crazy. I'm looking at the album cover right now, and she has some nice boobies. Wait, is it on Apple Music? Let me look. I'll see some boobies. Was that called Nighttime My Time? Yeah, that was the only album she came out with. I remember I wore this album out, and that was in 2013. Anyway, let's get through the rest of these comments so we can move on with the rest. April 13th, there's only 3 cities left. She says she will postpone the tour because she wants to finish the tour, so it's a month being postponed. Well, she's going to have to figure out how to move them things around. You know what? She could probably move it to May because here's the thing. May, it is going to be relatively slow at Madison Square Garden. I think we got a couple of shows there, but if she wants, she could move it to May. That'd be a perfect time. I mean, I'll probably be between there and City Field anyway. So that'd be a perfect time that she can move it around that time. She had to find out if there's anything in between, like with other those other shows, because she has 3 cities. Like I said, New York City is the last one. So if she needs to move it and just be like those tickets that y'all bought for that final show, we'll see how that works. But if it's a month that she has to kind of postpone it to preserve her voice because she does sing live, she might have to do that. They blacklisted Little Kim after she. Oh yeah, well, yeah, you're right. Because the one thing about women, um, but they do have the topless thing, but they don't show the breast. They just show like us from a certain point. Um, They blacklist, yeah. When I remember when the Naked Truth came out, that album flopped. It was like I know she came out of prison and she went and recorded that record. I remember my friends loved that record. They would run it. I remember I bought the CD and they would just rip it and basically just run it into the damn ground wherever we hung out. If I was driving my friend's car, he was playing the Naked Truth. Another friend of mine, Rodney, had a copy of the CD too, was blasting it. So they played it more than I did. So at the time, it was like, yeah, the album was good in the households, but it wasn't good on the charts. So I do think that at the time, people were very much going hard on women at once they get arrested. But guys, it's like a rite of passage. You're seen as cool, but not women. A video called "I Blame Myself" accused Capitol of being racist and the music industry in general that led to blacklisting the severe allegations. Capital might be racist. Sky also has a history of substance. Yeah, she definitely gives like she's funny enough. When I was looking at them pictures, I was like, she looked like she was hiding Cooter Brown. So I would not be surprised. She definitely gives like she likes the hugs. Replace the H with the DR. Hmm. I definitely love that album cover. I like that song. My niggas, whoa, triggers, damn niggas, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, y'all. So now it looks like we down to our final 4 topics. So before we get to those final core 4, if you could please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Also be sure to smash the notification bell so that when we go live with some messy ass tea over here on Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Don't mind me. I'm just eating. What you eating? Pussy? No, I'm just playing. What you eating? I ate before I came on. I had some rice with some veggies and some It's like spicy chicken, which was good. And I shouldn't be eating spicy food, but I be craving it. And then I'll be having to pay for it the next day when I go to the bathroom. Don't most of Hollywood, since when was drugs considered a black? Hello. It said rice and beans and chicken. I haven't had rice and beans in a minute. I need to make some. Yesterday, I don't know what present. I believe she definitely gives like she likes the heroin. She definitely gives that like very much heroin chic. It's like Kate Moss, that whole vibe. Like it definitely gives. She likes injecting things in her body through a needle. Lady Gaga said using coke helps her get. Mm-mm. Well, shout out to the people out here that using that booger sugar, but you don't want to mess up your nose. Did she say that recently? I don't know why some people feel they too good for rice and beans. I love rice and beans. I like the Cajun rice and beans from Popeyes, or there's sometimes where I'll buy the rice and beans already pre-made from the store, and I'll just throw it in the thing in the pot with the water. I know that's lazy, but and then at times I could make my own rice and beans, but I actually prefer like when my aunts make it. Shout out to the Puerto Ricans when they come over, and if I have like whenever I would go to like my family barbecues and everybody gets together, it's like it is a must that she has to come over and make her rice and beans. So that's the true part of rock. Well, yeah, rock and roll lifestyle. But look, I want my nose to fall off. Not magic brownies. I had a magic brownie, but I have eaten like the Rice Krispie treats. I remember. I don't know if I told her that, but I told somebody this. Maybe it may have been at work. That I remember I was at $3 bill in Brooklyn, and there was a couple of people that was there. Jam performed. She did the Star Spangled Banner. There was a couple of drag race girls that performed. Lady Bunny also performed that night. And my friend was there doing the photography and stuff and filming. And I got at one point, because I don't know if they do that all the spots, but in Brooklyn they sell not only liquor, but they also have like the weed edibles and all that other stuff. So I was like, let me buy a Rice Krispie treat. I was hungry. This is why you gotta eat before you go out to the clubs and this, that, and the other. And I should have known better, because when I was in my 20s and I didn't know how to drink and all this other shit, I would drink on an empty stomach, which I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. You always need to eat before you drink. So that way it sops it up. Jesus is a biscuit. Let him sop you up and let them sop that liquor up too. So then I sat there and I just went and I was supposed to just eat a little piece of the edible. I ate the whole damn thing because I was hungry. Child, when I tell you with that liquor and that damn Rice Krispie treat, I thought I was going crazy because I started seeing shit. I was hallucinating. I was wilding out. My mouth got dry. I was like, I can't. So I won't be doing that ever again. Let me say in the 90s, maybe not in 2014. I thought I took a nap for an hour. It turns out it was only 10 minutes. Everything is in slow motion. Lady Gaga canceled a Montreal show 3 hours before it started, so people were outside the venue. Yeah, that's crazy. Not you saw cartoons, so that's crazy. Well, we'll hear if she's going to postpone the New York show. But anyway, let's get back into the show because, like I said, we're down to our final four. Hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Definitely helps with the algorithm. It helps push this show out to more eyeballs. Now, without further ado, let's get to our next topic. And let's talk about a Swedish girl by the name of Zara Larsson. So, Zara Larsson recently did an interview with The Guardian. And she talked about a lot of things. She talked about Taylor Swift. And she also talked about Chappell Rowan. So, she said a lot of y'all out here, even though I should probably lump myself in that, but I'm not. She said y'all hate women, which I don't, but y'all been out here coming for Chappell Roan, and she don't think it's fair because she thinks you know it's just a gender bias situation. So let's get into what she said. Because she said you guys just hate women, which I think is kind of a strong word, but I do feel like men out here relatively do not like women. So Zara Larsson's love for Chappell Rowan keeps growing. Now, in fact, she told The Guardian she could graph out exactly how her affection has been building using a simple mathematical function. She said, "The more people hate her, the more I love her," she said. "Despite this, I don't like how she's being treated at all." Now, Roan, who entered the crucible of contempt several times since becoming world famous a few years ago when she released a 2024 statement drawing boundaries between her work and clocked out lives, some people saw it as a rebuke of their fandom. Nevertheless, she stood strong. She said, "What I don't accept are creepy people being touched and being followed." The contempt some people have for Rome, Lewison said, has um, a cause that's simple to explain: sexism. So when a woman has boundaries, I think people freak out. Men can do violent criminal things and people applaud them. But when a woman says, "Stop following me," it's controversial. It's like, you guys hate women, actually. Now, Roan most recently faced public scrutiny when Brazilian soccer player Jorginho claimed that the artist asked a security guard to chastise his wife and 11-year-old stepdaughter in extreme aggressive manner, for the tween having the audacity, the unlitigated gall to walk past Roan and smile at her. The guard, he claimed, chided the mother and daughter, saying the mom shouldn't allow my daughter to disrespect or harass other people. Well, it turned out to be a big misunderstanding. Now, Rome posted a video saying she had never seen the mother and daughter, that sort of thing. So I think in that case, it could have been that the security guard took it upon himself to go ham on that kid because maybe he's used to Chappell pushing out this whole "I need my boundaries," that sort of thing. Well, you know what? Since that whole situation, I think I may have had a change of heart and say that in a way I actually agree with Zara. I think maybe the reason why I had such a disdain for Chappell and the things she was doing is because she kind of annoys me at times. So maybe that's why I was a little hard on it. I didn't see it as me being misogynistic or hating women. So then maybe I have a blind spot for that. But I do agree that there is a different standard when it comes to women. We tend to give men way too much leeway in a lot of things. And if a guy says, "I need boundaries, stop following me," this and the other, we comply. But when it comes to women, where women have to deal with harassment and abuse and stuff all the time, I've been looking at that space of like, well, yeah, you signed up for this. This is what you should expect. But I've always said this: if you're in the privacy of your own home, if you're doing certain things as wherever you are, you have a right to have your boundaries and people not following you and people doing certain things. But when you're out in public and people see you, it's sort of like, "Hey, how are you?" If people want to take a photo, I'm sorry, I'm not in the best light right now. I don't want to take a photo. And if someone is feeling a little insecure, or whatever the case is, I think that people should comply and people should understand. But people do feel like that they're entitled to a celebrity because they're a fan of the work or they've come in close proximity with that person. It's kind of like when I'm working at Madison Square Garden. I have situations where people will literally, for warm-ups for the Rangers, will try to come down to the floor, and where I am, there's no cutoff because so it's like if you're in 7, 8, 9, or 1, 2, and 3, there's always going to be people in those sections that want to come down and try to be close to the ice, so that way they can take the photos and record and watch the warm ups and stuff. And it's like, no, we have specific areas that people can go where they can watch the warm ups. And when they come down, it's like, no, you can't have access to it because a lot of times we don't know what y'all are up to, what y'all are capable of, or whatever type of scenario it is. Because when people come in and they want their seats, they feel like they have access. This is where they going, and they coming from the suites, whatever the case is. We have to respect a lot of those situations, especially when it comes to celebrity realm. We have certain people in there. They're there to just have a good time, or whatever the case is. Now, if you happen to catch them out when they leaving and they crossing the street going to McDonald's, whatever the case is, you want to get a photo, then you see how that works out. But we got to respect, I guess we have to respect people for the boundaries that they want. And maybe the reason why people are coming at Chappell is because she comes across as polarizing, or maybe it's just her attitude or the way she comes at people. People aren't willing to receive it the way that she does. But I guess when other people dress it up in a certain way, we're able to receive it better in that whole situation. So I'm allowed to change my mind. So, but then Zara said, look, she thrives on the attention in all forms. and said that when I was younger, I was like, oh, I can't wait to have paparazzi outside my house. So there's people that thrive on all that stuff, that know how to handle it. And you have to realize that there's a lot of A-list celebrities out here who don't really know how to handle fame and all that other stuff. Zara Larsson has had enough time to process all of this because she's been an overnight success for the past 10 years. Whereas Chappell just became famous not too long ago. Not an OTT long ago. I had to change her damn lyrics. But anyway, so that's what I have on that. Now let's get what she had to say about Miss Beyonce Knowles Carter Swift. So she recently also in the interview basically had to clarify um a statement that she made because she criticized the music charts and begged for a #1 under the same breath. So in a recent interview with The Guardian, the Swedish singer declared that I declare that playing the chart game is so dead to her. She refused her label Epic Records' request to release a single before the deluxe edition of her album Midnight Sun, calling chart strategies depressing. She said, no one's looking at the charts but industry people and maybe Taylor Swift fans, she said at the time. And of course, the Swifties got they baby tits in a damn twist and decided to spark a whole online debate with the situation. So, which caused Larsson to backpedal and clarify what she meant. Which I don't think I took that as a negative because quiet as it's kept, you Swifties do sit up here and bird watch the goddamn charts like it's the second coming. Like y'all waiting for Jesus to come back from the dead or to be resurrected. Y'all do stare at them charts hard. Or y'all want to, when it comes down to the comparisons or whatever, y'all always want to bring up charting numbers and how much people make versus another artist like y'all are her literal bank accountant. So let's not act like y'all don't be up in there doing that. So now the Lush Life singer initially said she was not worried about charts that face backlash, prompting her to issue a statement soon after. And she took to Instagram and posted a statement explaining that she mentioned the Bejeweled singer because no one plays the chart game like Taylor Swift. LOL. So she went and said, I did an interview in The Guardian saying no one cares about the charts but industry people and maybe Taylor Swift fans because no one plays a chart game like Taylor Swift. LOL. She's literally the best at it and everyone knows that. She also has a good team behind her. It's not the read you guys think it is. And also, I care. Hi, best believe I will try to release at least 2 different covers for my physical on my wait, what is that? She spelled that wrong. Psychical. Or is that how y'all spell it in Sweden? It says on my next project after Midnight Sun. I said that because I feel like I have some cultural value right now in pop music, something I've never had to this level, but I'm not in a position to influence the charts, LOL. And I still think you could be amazing artists and not chart. Absolutely. Because there's a lot of people out here who are great artists selling out places, doing well on the touring scene, and their music is not really charting on the charts. I guess we could say that about Benson Boone. Benson Boone ain't out here charting, but apparently he's selling out arenas and about to go on tour again. Those 2 things are not mutually equal to me and shouldn't be to any fans either, but I still want #1. Please make Midnight Sun #1, please. That would be so mega, please. Like, girl, stop begging. Just stick around and say what you meant. Is the fact that, you know what, there's nothing wrong with saying that, you know what, there are certain people out here who overtly care. Labels care because they're still caught up in the old guard of how things are done. And then you have people like Taylor Swift, who is obsessed with charting because every time her contemporaries release music, don't you be trying to release a new song or a new version of that album? How many versions of this new album that she has out, almost called it Torture Poets Department, The Life of a Showgirl? How many versions of that has she released already? And every time somebody would release a record, she would all conveniently just release another version of that album. Or she would release a video or a single or this version or that version. So she knows what she's doing in regards to the whole chart thing. And she's one of the very few out here that still is culturally relevant in a sense of charts matter. But not everybody has that same goal. Not everybody's able to do that. But there are people out here who have good songs, great, great songs, in fact, and are able to just go out on tour and make money that way through the merch, through the touring, through all that stuff. So everybody's not able to be a Beyonce or a Taylor Swift and stuff because a lot of times these labels aren't really putting the money, the time, and the investment in these artists. So I totally understood where she was coming from. But a lot of y'all be out here looking for somebody to read another artist because y'all want those endorphins to kick in and y'all just want to start flying off the cuff and losing y'all shit. That's just how I feel like some of y'all just be wanting to be on these charts. So yeah, Midnight Sun is out. It was released last year in September and includes songs like Pretty Ugly, which has become a big hit thanks to Mia Starr and Juicy Love Dion, where they had their little thing on RuPaul's Drag Race, and now they've been taking that version of the song and performing it on the road, which I think is smart. Then she also has a song Midnight Sun and Crush, which I do love Zara Larsson. I've always been a fan of hers. I'm glad she's finally getting her just due. And while this album may not be one of my favorites of hers, um, I enjoy whenever she puts out music. So I'm looking forward to more to her. I don't think that she was saying anything in a malicious way. People just looking for a moment to just be upset about some BS. So yeah, there you have it. I ask all of this for you. What do you guys think of what Zara had to say? Do you feel like people were just blowing things out of proportion and what are your thoughts about what she had to say on Miss Chappell Roan? Or I was gonna say Chappella Rowana, because I like changing people's names. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Post Malone posted a clip saying too soon, a 7-disc album. Each disc is 20 songs, about 80 minutes long. Said, let's break my place. What's he releasing this for? First of all, I just think Post Malone is so overrated. Nah, I told you. He said Marty said Chappell having conservative relatives also being weaponized against her, but I guess it's okay for Gaga, but not Chappell. What do you want? And he even said, I have Zionist relatives. There was always a gender bias towards Chappell. People let Ye and Justin call out paparazzi and make it's not clocking to you go viral. But she gets reprimanded by online gays like Boy George tired ass. Well, first of all, I did call out Boy George because Boy George, I was like, how you running around here trying to tell Chappell how to behave around people? When I told you, I have two friends who work personally with Boy George that told me stories about him. Daniel Dardicio and another friend of mine who goes by DJ Relentless, who now lives in Canada. DJ Relentless, who used to actually DJ for Harmonica Sunbeam back at Esquilita back in the day. He was telling me a story that there was an event that Boy George was working on, was acting like a complete nuisance. Also, my friend Daniel Dardicio, who is a nightlife promoter, also owns a couple of businesses and stuff, one on Fire Island. He's building a nightclub out in Mexico City, that sort of thing. So he was telling me stories about how um there was an event he was trying to hire Boy George for, and Boy was a nightmare. So you're not innocent in this, sir. So I don't know how you giving somebody advice on how to behave, and you're not necessarily innocent on how you be acting. So that's why I found it funny that he was putting that information out there in these streets. And I do agree. It's like Justin Bieber and all of them. Justin Bieber would throw a water bottle at the paparazzi, and it's applauded. I'm told to disown them. So I think asking people to drop family because you do. So a lot of it screamed because she refused to endorse Kamala Harris. Well, I have no problem dropping people that are MAGA. I already told y'all that. Even if Chappell didn't do anything to the child, she has shown time and time again that she's not a people person. Lionel Richie was right. If you're not a people person, you shouldn't be famous. Because well, and no shade, that does come with the gig where if you're going to be dealing in the public of people, you can't be like, I don't like people. Because I actually have a coworker, I'm not going to mention his name, um, that is leaving MSG, but he's moving to another state. And he was telling me that he's going to do more of like what his degree is in college, which he's going to work behind the scenes, working on, set design and building sets and all other stuff. Because he's like, I'm not a people person. And when you recognize it's like, okay, well, I actually am a people person. So that's why I'm always working the craziest and the most busiest of places. And I'm dealing with the people because I am a people person. Even though people get on my damn nerves at times, but it comes with the job. And you can't be in a place dealing with people and saying like, and you want people's money, and then talk about I got boundaries and I'm a people person. There needs to be a setup with that. If you're going out in public, you know you're going to encounter and deal with people, and you can't just be like, I got boundaries all the damn time, and so nobody has access to you at all. But then again, maybe you need to hit up Beyonce and figure out like how Beyonce is able to navigate and maneuver through the world where people don't even come near her, but they have access to her in so many ways, and vice versa. But that's Zara Larsson. You said, I don't even know the girl in the pic next to Taylor. I'm a 90s music girl. Part of me feels like Zara wouldn't be saying all this about charts if she was one of the main pop girls that could actually debut at number one. This isn't paparazzi waiting for you at your house behavior. Hmm. Yeah, if she was scoring a number one album, she definitely wouldn't be saying that. The only charts that matter to Stan fans is the Spotify charts. Child, I don't even use Spotify. Zara said in a tour questionnaire that she's releasing a Midnight Sun Deluxe that's similar to the Brat Music album, a collaboration remix to every song. To kind of just want a few new songs. Well, we'll see how that turns out. And the real Delulu fans think Darkchild's Moneymaker is going to be on remix to the not Darkchild's Moneymaker. Then you saying you don't like people either. Lana Richie said about her that if you're not a people person, you're not meant for fame. I agree with that because that comes with the territory. You know, fame has its good parts and its bad parts. You can't, at the same time, you can't only just like the good parts, which is you get the money, you get the fame, you get to perform, you get to, cosplay drag queens. Like that can't be the only good things about being a artist that you like. It has its good parts and it has its bad parts. You just have to figure out how to navigate through the side that you don't necessarily particularly feel comfortable with. And that's dealing with the public. Like he says, Zara needs to get off the internet. She's too chronically online and it's affecting her mind. Yeah, and that's another thing too. I know like this generation, or y'all care about interaction with your celebrities and having like that close proximity or them interacting with you online. Kind of like when I read that article about Dylan O'Brien, how the industry is mad because he won't create an Instagram because they feel like there needs to be engagement in order for you to have some type of, I guess maybe for them to hire you or something, which I think is ridiculous. Why do I have to have an Instagram in order for you to even take me seriously as an actor? I've been working hard on my craft. I'm pretty much proving to you I'm talented, but the only way for you to even pay me dust or pay me any mind is I have to create an Instagram. Like that sounds dumb. So you're hiring people based on how many followers they have instead of just are they qualified for the job? And I do know that a lot of when it comes to these musicians, you want them to interact with the audience, but I also think like there needs to be some sense of mystery. We need to bring mystery back to music and just artistry as a whole. And if you need to use your Instagram or your social medias to interact with the fans, then you pop out. But you don't need to be on here acting like you us with the social commentary. You don't need to be doing that. All right, y'all. So now I guess we're on this soul train of let's defend female artists because now we got to get into this story. Let's talk about Doechii, who I'm sure y'all probably heard by now. Doechii has a song with Lady Gaga that they're releasing for the Devil Wears Prada 2 soundtrack. Heard the song. It's okay. I mean, I heard like what I heard in the trailer. I haven't heard the song. But nevertheless, from what I heard, it's all right. Nothing to brag home about. I need to hear the whole thing before I critique it in full. But she recently came out and expressed her concern for female entertainers and the scrutiny they face in the media. Now, Doechii is urging the public to show more compassion toward young women in music, sharing a heartfelt message about the pressure many female rappers and singers face while building their careers. In a Candid Threads post, the Grammy-winning rapper said many of today's female artists are still barely halfway into their 20s, stressing that they are simply young women doing their best while navigating fame, criticism, and an unforgiving media cycle. She went on to remind followers that these artists are more than headlines and hot takes, calling them people's daughters, sisters, best friends who are still figuring life out in real time. Doechii emphasized the long hours they pour into rehearsals and studio sessions in hopes of creating something meaningful for both themselves and their fans. The Florida native also highlighted how emotionally exposed the creative process can be, describing music as a very vulnerable craft. Her message appeared aimed at critics quick to pile on female performers over missteps, performances, or public growing pains. Closing out the post with direct plea, Doechii asked audiences and the media alike to have grace and lead with kindness, underscoring that many of these women are simply trying to evolve under a spotlight that rarely allows room for mistakes. And in a way, I actually will say that I agree with her on that. I totally understand where she's coming from because here's the thing. In a way, I'm glad that the generation which I come from, the Beyoncés, the Aaliyahs, may she rest in peace, the Brandys, the Monicas, the Britneys, even though Britney went through hell with the paparazzi and stuff, the Christinas, a lot of that generation, they were able to grow up in a spotlight in a way where they don't have to endure a lot of what the newer generation has to deal with, which means that they are on 24/7, where it doesn't just let up with the paparazzi and the tabloids like the Star magazines and the National Enquirers and all of that stuff. We got TMZ, we got Perez Hilton, we got all these other people that blog and just spew their business on a 24/7 basis. And even I'll say even me. But I'm not too hard on them like a lot of these other people are. I save a lot of my true feelings regarding this stuff for when I do this show. But for the most part, it's just like, yeah, when it comes down to it, a lot of the younger generation that's coming up now, they have to endure a lot because it is literally a 24/7 cycle where it's like y'all could just be minding your business and you pop open in your phone and somebody's saying something about you and you having to deal with that shit from that point. So whereas back then it was just like, okay, the only way you were able to find out what was the tea going on your favorite celebrity, you had to read it in a magazine. Internet wasn't what it was back then. So I definitely understand like any little thing that your faves are doing now, it's under constant scrutiny. You know, they wear an outfit, they're being criticized by so many different people with an opinion and a phone based off of what they're wearing, how they look going down the street, who they friends with, who they allegedly dating. So it's a 24/7 cycle. It's kind of like I don't know if this might be a bit of a reach, but it also kind of gives like back when I was growing up, if I got into a fight in school and I got my ass kicked, it only lasted from okay, I got my ass beat at 3 o'clock. We talked about it when I came back to school the next day. It was a one-day thing. We done moved on to the next thing. It's not an ongoing thing where it's like, okay, I got into a fight. People got phones now. They're recording the fightation, and it's being passed around to so many different people, and it's literally gone viral on social media. And now I'm having to live with the humiliation, not just for a couple of hours, but 24/7. And getting this, and now people who don't even go to my school, don't even live in my town, don't even live in my damn state, is now speaking on the information that they're getting because they think this is entertainment that they're getting on social media when this is literally my life that's playing out in real time. So I would never want to trade, which a lot of this new generations do. I'm glad I grew up in the time in which I grew up in. And that makes me sound old or whatever when people try to come up here and read me on that whole stuff. Oh well, with age comes maturity. And I'm just be waiting, like, hopefully y'all ass get to my age. Which you better hope that you can make it to your 40s and have this type of mentality. So read away if you want. I'm content with where I'm at, but I would never want to trade what this new generation is going through based on how I grew up or how I would see celebrity, the way celebritydom was in the 90s and the 2000s versus today in the 2020s. So I totally get it what Doechii's talking about, but let's read some of these comments that I saw over here at the Jasmine brand, which is where I got that story from. One person says she's right, especially if you claim to care about Black people, should include BW and girls too. Is that Black Women BW? I don't know, because sometimes I don't be knowing what these little initials be. Another person said, "Torn apart. How can these new female artists learn to be original?" Okay, now you doing the most. Another person said, "Missy Elliott is the best consistent one." Another person is sad, but unfortunately, that happens when you are a female rapper. And another person said, if you, the artist, stop trying to make headlines every day, stop trying to compete and be a baddie, polish your craft, study, understand, this business isn't going to change. So while you're in it, make your impact and keep it moving. Beyonce is the bar, her attitude, work ethic, endurance, etc. Stop complaining and grind. And before you say it, this goes for guys too. But here's the thing, Beyonce came up in my era, so that's different. Beyonce was able to make mistakes and all that other stuff before social media became a thing. Beyonce and I are the same, around the same age. I done spilled the tea. Well, I done told y'all I'm 2 days before her. But Beyonce, she came up at a different time. She's born in the 80s, a child of the 80s and 90s. And so you can't compare a Doechii to a Beyonce. They come from two different eras. And Doechii is one of the rare few artists that actually are not out here specifically trying to make headlines for the sake of making headlines. We're not talking about these clowns like these Ice Spices with mid ass talent, or that one that looked like a walking STI. What's her name? That just did Sexy Red, huh? Now, we're not sitting there talking about these people that is like y'all talent is mid, so you got to create controversy in order to get attention. Doechii is actually out here being an artist. She's out here giving you performance and fierce rap skills and all those things. So I feel like a lot of y'all, when y'all trying to come up here in these comments with your little side shade, your cockeyed shade, it's neither here nor there. Another person said, Ashanti said this very thing back in the 2000s. She was constantly being criticized for her voice and dancing. Well, yeah, she would do the bare minimum with the dancing. And with so much humility and grace, when asked about the negativity, she simply said, I never said I was the best singer or dancer, but I always give my best. Fans nor media are ever this critical of men, and those most critical can never do what these artists are doing. I stand with Doechii. Hashtag. So yeah, and then people still calling her a plant. It's like y'all are so tired and late with the industry plant shit. Um, and then last but certainly not least, another person said it's hard to stop because it's negative, jealous people who troll regular people up to artists and entertainers. Some blog pages make millions on creating videos about everything artists do. The more they're embarrassing, the better. I think many artists should refrain from using social media and just have someone on their PR team to post on their behalf. That could be a thing, but I mean, who said there aren't artists that do have people posting on their behalf? 'Cause they do. But anyway, so yeah, that's all I got right now. I definitely want to hear from y'all. Do you agree with what Doechii had to say and some of the commenters in regards of what was said up in there? I think it could be a double-edged sword, but I do feel like female artists are being torn apart more so than men. But if you're gonna tear the people apart, do the ones that are more about being infamous than really working on their craft. But I guess that's this side of the industry. That's the name of the game. That people get caught up in the messiness of it all. That the messier the better, and the gossip and all that other, those aspects of the industry. So can't have one without the other. Can't just have all the money, the success, the fame, and the glamour, and not get the mess that comes with it. Because that's the flip side of entertainment industry, which is the tabloid side. So, and the scrutiny side. There just needs to be something, but they're not even putting the money and the effort into that in the industry. Remember, they used to have like etiquette classes and how you media training and that sort of thing. They don't do that anymore. So it's hard for a lot of this generation, especially to figure out how to navigate through the mess without the media training to know how to handle a lot of what comes with the industry, the negative side. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Not girl, bye. Doechii, let's keep it real. They did Britney wrong as fuck, and people were actually laughing at her while having a breakdown. Those artists couldn't make it. They actually have it better. These artists couldn't make it. They actually, yeah, and Even though there were artists of my generation that couldn't hack it, you gotta grow a shit. I can't even talk. You have to grow or learn to grow a thick skin if you're gonna be able to survive in this business. Diamond Evie says, "Hey, boo," and also stop doing stunt queen shit as well. Some of these artists want attention but hate when it's bad press. Yeah, that's another thing. You can't pick and choose what type of press which you're actually gonna get. Doechii has literally done so much bullshit, like flashing her nuh-uh on the red carpet and doing the most. I like her album, and I'm thinking I didn't know she did that. I mean, when you're popular, you get mass praise and mass criticism. The hate is exaggerated, but so is the love. I said it was so much easier to get away with stuff back in our days. So I got more Gaga tea. This is bad. She canceled the show 30 minutes before the door opened to go to the arena part. They already scanned tickets, letting people in. So now what are you gonna do? Because you get in, you scan the tickets. Now those tickets are probably gonna have to, well, I don't know if they're gonna refund them or they're gonna have to use them for a later date. But hopefully they're able to work it out because if somebody says, "Oh, you came here already and we scanned these tickets," and hopefully there will be something put in place where the ticket takers, because look, with my job, what I work in guest services. So we have people who work guest services, so we're dealing with people inside the arenas. So if they, checking the tickets, making sure they know where they're sitting, any kind of issues that's going on in the arena, we have to make sure everything is copacetic. Also, we have people that's from our department that does ticket taking, which is they work 3.5 hours. They make a shit ton of money doing that. And it's like they're there just to scan people to come in, and they keep people at certain gates just in case you have some last minute stragglers that come in. Then they send out, some of the what we do at the garden. Some of the ticket takers actually relieve us for breaks or whatever, because usually either on the floor or on the sixth floor, which is like the most they feel is the most busiest and more important of floors because they pay more money down there. Um, then we get relieved and then they cover those, and then that's it. So if you have those people that's going to be there scanning those tickets, I'm probably going to talk to some of the ticket takers because I actually know one of the ticket taker managers. So I'm going to talk to her. Like, if there's a situation next Monday where there's a last minute schedule, I said, what do y'all do in that situation if an artist decides to cancel a couple of minutes before um the people come in and then their tickets already been scanned and they decide to cancel. I haven't gotten in that situation yet where I've been caught up in a canceled show, but I'm gonna ask her what happens in that situation. I can tell you why media training died. Cardi B called it fake, saying we have to pretend to be someone we're not. That's media training. And is this the 90s? Um, I don't know. I think I mean, it's about media training in the sense of what you got to do in crazy situations. Like, how do you navigate? How do you deal with that? Do I just like pass it off to my publicist? But I think a lot of people like Cardi because Cardi has genuinely found a way that being herself is a version of what she wants us to believe is herself. If you believe Armand Wiggins, as he said, she's trying to put on this image of like the girl next door relatable type of artist, but she's really a certain other way. And I don't know if that's true or not. That could be because he's feeling bitter because they had a falling out. Now you want to call out who you feel that she really is. But if that's his experience, who am I to judge, right? So they said, do you think the backlash started when she won Best Rap Album? They've always been calling Doechii an industry plant. She's always been hit with that situation. I'm like, all I know is I like them. I like her music. I like the performances. I don't be getting caught up in all that. She's the industry plant and she this and she that. And like, okay, like if she an industry plant, good. That's a good damn planting. I don't know. If I like the music or whatever the case is, that's all I care about. I don't get caught up in all the other mess until it becomes too big for me to ignore, and then I Dig into it. It seems when a rookie wins best rap album, as always, you haven't paid your dues. You need to be punished. And she's been around for a minute. It's just because y'all just now hearing about her, now all of a sudden she's new, she's an industry player, she's whatever. But it's like I've been on this grind. I'm just saying in general. I've been on this grind for a decade. But just because you now hearing about me, I'm playing. I had to tell someone they scan your ticket, but you still have to wait. There was a time you were allowed in, and they waited till the doors opened to the arena of the concert. But you said to change after the Christina Grimmie thing when they scanned you like 90 minutes before going into the arena. No, yeah, because one of the thing is when I'm at work, it's 90 minutes to the event. So if my call time is at 6:30, I think we do doors at like 7. And but they give us 15 minutes to do what we got to do because it's a lot. That place, Madison Square Garden, is huge, so we get a 15-minute head start. So if it's 6:30 call time, I clock in at 6:15. Then we do our roll call at 6:30. We have about 10 minutes, and we get a whole full itinerary of what's going to happen, the thing of the day, what we need to be aware of, all that stuff, and then we get our assignments. They send us off. Roll call, make sure everybody's there. We go off and do what we got to do, and then we do doors around 7 o'clock. So by that time, it's like we get enough people, they scan their stuff, they come in, and then they're directed to where they need to go, which floor, depending on the suite, where they gotta go, which floor they gotta go for 100s. If they gotta go for the letters, they go to the fifth floor, 106th floor, 208th floor, 300s and 400s is the bridge, sort of. Yeah, the bridge is 300s. 400s is basically, but then we usually have for concert, unless it's 360, that side is closed off. Where the 400 seats, which is like the blue seats, we only have those open like if it's a 360, sort of like, so we have Fish or Billy Joel, that sort of thing, where they have a 360 stage. Or if it's half pit, or not half pit, but half, the situation where there's a stage or whatever, like Lady Gaga, it'd only be like half the thing. So we would have that part blocked because the blue seats are back of house. So we're not going to have that open because you'll be looking at a curtain and no stage. Although there have been people that have complained if you're in the 200s, there's an obstructive view, and Gaga doesn't pay for the big screens to be on it because we in the 200s we do have screens, and some of the concerts like FKA Twigs, I believe she paid for it because if I saw the screen where I was on the floor and she had the screen on over there, she obviously had paid for the screens to be on the top floors. So she and Sabrina Carpenter did not have the screens on, and there was obstructive view, and people was mad about it. But anyway, that's a little inside live music tea. So, okay, y'all. So now, evening. Hold on. So this weather is getting me sick. The constant back and forth change. I knew I had phlegm in my throat, whatever. But I'm not getting sick. But yeah, this weather change. What's the weather outside now? It's like we was having 73-degree weather. Now it's 49 degrees. It's chilly. It's just like I can't. And then it's been raining. Then it's not raining. Then it's windy. Then it's sunny. And it's like, can y'all be consistent? That could be climate change. But anyway, let's get into some homosexual news. And let's talk about Lil Nas X. So Lil Nas X, we have some latest news on him, what he's going through in regards to that whole mental health diversion that his lawyers were trying to get for him. Well, it looks like some good news on his part because Little Nas X has been granted exactly what his people need. So I guess what they're saying is that should he complete, his stint and whatever the case is, that his felony battery case may be put to rest. So the Grammy-winning musician, born Montero Hill, appeared in a LA County courtroom on Monday and was granted entry into a mental health diversion program. The judge found that his arrest late August for alleged found that his arrest last August for allegedly battering 3 police officers was apparent from his normal conduct. The court determined the incident was linked to the artist's subsequent diagnosis of bipolar disorder. Did I even mention that he had that? I don't think they mentioned that, but that's news to me. Or maybe they did and I forgot. But I think he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And so long as he complies with the treatment plan and obeys all laws for the next 2 years, the case will be dismissed. This is according to Judge Alan Schneider. When treated, he is much better off and socially is much better off, the judge said, adding that Hill appears to be doing very well. The judge said Hill may not possess weapons or threaten any violence during the 2 year program. I'm thankful, just very thankful, Hill told Rolling Stone outside the courtroom after the hearing. It could have been much worse. Now, as he left the courthouse, Hill, who's 26, said he's just going through the flow of life. Asked about his treatment, he said, I'm here, baby. Now, Hill's defense lawyer, Christy O'Connor told the court that Hill voluntarily checked himself into the Meadows Treatment Hospital in Arizona after his arrest and received nearly 2 months of inpatient care that was absolutely successful. He has since transitioned to what she described as a pretty rigorous mental health regimen, including weekly sessions with a psychotherapist and appointments with a psychiatrist every 3 months. She said the incident last summer was highly public and humiliating, and that Hill is committed to his ongoing case. Hopefully, I'll never see you again except on a stage. This is what Deputy District Attorney Jody Taxer said to Hill as they walked out of the courtroom. The court set a progress report hearing on July 29th, but Hill will not need to appear in person. Hill, as you know, was arrested after a passerby captured a video of him walking in traffic in the pre-dawn hours of August 21st, 2025. The Panini artist was wearing only his underwear and a pair of white cowboy boots. Prosecutors later claimed that Hill, 26, was strolling naked along Ventura Boulevard in Studio City around 5:40 a.m. when police arrived. Authorities claim Hill assaulted responding officers who tried to take him into custody, including 3 of them. He was later charged with 3 counts of battery and an injury on a police officer and 1 count of resisting an executive officer. Hill pleaded not guilty and faced up to 5 years in state prison if convicted as charged. And as I was saying, I don't think he should do jail time. First of all, this is his first offense. I don't think he meant anything by what he had done. And on top of that, we found out that he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, so he has a mental illness, and he's working on making himself better. He's treating his mental illness, and as long as he follows protocol and follows the program and keeps his I's dotted and his T's crossed and stays on the straight and narrow, I think he can put all this behind him, which is all what I wanted from him anyway. Because I don't think prison is a place for someone like Montero. I'm not saying because he's a homosexual. There's a lot of arrogance behind prison walls that are survivors and able to work whatever they're doing in there out. But for him, he needs much more treatment than just being locked up in prison. And prison is not the answer for everybody when it comes to dealing with the mental illness or whatever the stresses of the business, and that's taking its toll on him. So hopefully he's able to work everything out. He's working on himself. And once he's able to work on himself and keep himself on the straight and narrow, the one thing I'm really hoping is that he can get back to making music. And like I said, the what I would like for Montero to do is step away from trying to be the hip hop definition of a rapper, where you're gay, you rap. We love all of that. The hip hop community is trying to act like they ain't a lot of stugoffs. That's the F word backwards. Um, they trying to act like there's not a lot of them in hip hop that's running around. A lot of them is in the closet. At least he's out. But what will be more of a palatable thing for him to be able to be successful is if he kind of goes in more of the electro rock, electro clash, hyper pop type of vibe. So like Charlie XCX, Slater, MIA. Like if you did something like that with your raps and did that with the production part, I feel like that will go over better, especially because you've got a lot of white fans anyway. And if the young alternative black queens and women want to come over, because a lot of the FKA Twig fans are like alternative R&B hip hop types. When I worked at a concert, there was a lot of them. There was a lot of black girls, a lot of black gays. It was mixture, and that seems like that's more of and they're alternative types. So that seems like more or less the Montero audience. So I definitely want to see him have the comeback that he deserves, and hopefully it gets to that point. So shout out to you, Nazi. We rooting for you over here at Chris Avalon Unfiltered. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story, the latest on Lil Nas X, where he has been granted the mental health diversion because he's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and he's been doing the work to make himself a much better man out here in these streets and not trying to cause them more trouble, because that arrest, I think that was a wake-up call for him. Hopefully that was a wake-up call for him. So let me know what you guys think of this tea in the comments down below. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Wait, hold on. Went too far. Alien 3 director's cut just quietly dropped. Oh yeah, they well, it wasn't quiet. Maybe it was quiet, but um usually there's a list that comes out. And I did see it, but it's about here's all the movies that's going to be coming out for the month of April. And they've got all kinds of cuts of the Alien movies. They got the director's cut, I believe, of Aliens. There's the director's cut of Alien 3. There's also a different cut of Alien versus Predator, Requiem, and I think the other one that Paul W.S. Anderson did. So they put up all these different versions of Alien up on Aliens of the Alien franchise on HBO Max. And I was thinking I was going to do a whole binge, but recently I started rewatching all the Scream movies. I'm actually up to Scream 6. And when I watched that video earlier about Scream and the Sydney problem, all this stuff, I was like, you know what? They're definitely right about this. I think the reason why they've not been able to move beyond Sydney Prescott with Scream is because y'all have not been able to find a final girl that sells all the different nuances and emotions that the emotional journey that these movies take you on. Nev Campbell's the only one that's been able to do that. When you look at Melissa Barrera, there's nothing behind those eyes of hers. It's like she's trying to convey emotion, but there's nothing there. If anything, I think what you should have did was make Jenna Ortega the new Sydney Prescott, the new final girl for the Scream franchise. But y'all didn't. Y'all went with Melissa Barrera, and she wasn't a good choice. So once she got fired and all this other stuff that was going on because of the whole free Palestine thing, everybody started going on and having a little discourse and throwing tantrums and the protesting and everything. And I'm like, y'all fighting for a girl who really was not the strongest part of the movies? She was slightly better in Scream 6, but the thing that ruined Scream 6 was that the three killers weren't that great. And then we watched Scream 7 and they had the reveal with Marco and um Anna Camp. But like, y'all are the killers? Who gives a fuck? It's like y'all are not. You're not that exciting. They didn't sell it throughout the movie where I give a damn about these killers. It's like, no, this is a whack ass choice. So I'm glad that they got rid of other writers or got Busick, and now they moved on to new writers. I can just hear celebrity privilege being screamed by a certain child. I just know this. Please, they're annoying. Or you say, I just know this queen is going to release a comeback single, reference himself, and act a fool, and the single was still. At least he still has the longest running consecutive number one. Well, Old Town Road. When I was watching Sabrina's music video, I kept thinking, when will men be able to make a homosexual music video like this and be praised for it? Rush music video doesn't count. Well, maybe Troye Sivan gonna have to do it. Twerking on the devil was not smart. He's lucky he's still here. God, please find this young man and let him. Um, one of the things I didn't like about okay with this comment. Um, Besides the whole devil thing, I just didn't like when he was throwing religious imagery in his music, because I don't feel like he even understood what it was that he was doing. You were trying to jump in on the whole Madonna religious controversial bandwagon, when it's like the difference between Madonna and him is that Madonna is, like myself, was raised Roman Catholic, and we understood questioning of religion and the hypocrisy of religion. And so when you're bringing that up in your artwork, you got to understand what it is that you're talking about. And we get it that the one thing I wish he would have just stuck with was the whole let's play up the idea of straight people who act like they are the soothsayers of all things Jesus are sitting up there judging gay people as like we're the biggest sinners. When it's like, but y'all be mixing fabrics, y'all be eating shellfish, the shit that scrape at the bottom of the goddamn ocean. Y'all sit up there and eat all that shit. But all of a sudden, being gay is the ultimate sin when homosexuality has existed long before the Bible was even created. So, what I never understood was the fact that he should have just focused on calling out the hypocrites that were talking about he was going to hell. Well, okay, if I'm going to hell, we're going to have ourselves a coming out party down here with all this heat. And that's what you should have stuck to. If you would have played that up, that would have been great. But he started going to these other religious things. And then when he tried to explain about the juice and the crackers and all that, I said, okay, now this sounds like some shit that your team was putting together. But like, what will really get under people's skin and get start a viral moment or whatever is if you start putting these things in here and you didn't even understand the context of what you were doing. Because if your name is on the brand and your name is on the marquee, you're the brand, your face is the brand and your name is on the marquee, and you're the one that's selling this stuff. You got to know what it is that you getting yourself in front of and be ready to face that backlash. Which Madonna had to do when she would come out with the religious imagery, especially when she made Leon Jesus in the Like a Prayer video. I sent you a grab. MAGA supports the Iran war plays. The funny thing about these maggots, y'all are so damn phony. Y'all talk about y'all voted on no new wars, this, that, and the other. But now that the man is saying now he wants to go to war, y'all move the goalposts every time. Whenever because y'all can't detach yourself from the tit of this cult. Nas went to rap because he felt he had no choice because of his skin color, but I think him being rejected was hurting him in my opinion. Also, he's got a big enough fan base. Go independent. I feel bad for that kid. There was a fake account under his name posting trans women aren't real women or something along those lines with pictures of Sophie and people thought it was actually him. Are you talking about Lil Nas X? Somebody went and lied about that. I saw Mariah Carey was at some church on Easter. I think that came out yesterday or today. I saw that Mariah Carey does now 22 weeks at #1 with All I Want. I'm tired of that damn song, but we know how she works that out. I feel he was trying to take the Marilyn Manson approach, but it failed. Well, yeah, that was another one was able to do the whole controversy thing. But then they tried it with him, where they tried to blame Columbine on Marilyn Manson. His first go round had a point. The second go round was purely for controversy, but I'm kind of sick of the sanctity of religion. I don't care if he's flippant about something I believe. Child. Well, all of a sudden, Perez Hilton found Jesus because he almost met his maker. He tried to be like Madonna and flop. Nas X needs to make better music. That's another thing too. You can't be out here trying to be controversial, but the music is ass. Like you got to have the songs to back it up. And that was the good thing about that was the thing about Madonna is that even at the end of the day, if y'all found that it was a bit of a misstep with the controversy, at least she wasn't running around here with doing the controversy with a shitty single. So you got to have the music to back it up. I was like, "Who's that kid?" I'm talking about the artist That Kid. You've never heard of him? No, I have not. Who is that kid? Who's that kid? No, 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 no. It ain't Eve. Or you talking about Kid Ken. I don't know. You said that's another thing about Nas X. Besides the hits, his songs aren't all that good. The deep cuts on his Montero album were all a chop. Even the ones either Doja and Megan features. Or maybe what you need to do is look. Everybody's pen ain't that strong. There's some people that's able to come out with one or two good songs and that's it. But if you got to hire a team of writers to help you fatten, put a little meat on the bone and work them songs out, then that's what you need to do. So maybe that's what he should have did instead of, you know, all of that mess. I'm like, who is calling me? Oh, I forgot to tell you. I listened to that Underscores album. It was actually pretty good. The production definitely was fabulous. Yeah, now I'm sitting here checking messages when I shouldn't be checking messages. But they talking about that a lot of people showed up. Well, look, a lot of people showed up to vote at my thing. Look, I couldn't make it because I'm doing this show. It's my other money maker. But they talking about a lot of people showed up for the vote for the executive board. The person I actually want to win, Paul, 67 so far. So hopefully he gets it. Because I felt like he was the more convincing vote when when he came to my job and spoke to us. But anyway, that's job stuff. I don't want to talk about that much. But yeah, there's a vote going on right now for an executive board position. He said, look him up. He might be familiar to you. Dial Tone is his most popular song. Funny enough, I may have heard of them, but if I don't be knowing names and stuff, but yeah, I'll have to look them up. His hits were not even good. The only song I like, Rodeo. I liked Hot Box, but that was about it. Doja did the devil thing, but I think it was cohesive with the album of Scarlet. Yeah, the production on it was good and the vocals and all the stuff. So I was like, okay, this is the type of music I like listening to. But anyway, let's move on to our final topic. And let's talk about my husband, Pedro Pascal, who apparently is doing a movie right now in Mexico City with Danny Ramirez. I don't know if he's there or not, or they've shot their scenes. I don't know what's going on, but a couple of pictures have popped up online. So now, after Joaquin Phoenix dropped out before the film was initially supposed to go into production in 2025, Todd Haynes' gay romantical movie, Noche, has now been acquired by the same people are doing it. Todd Haynes is doing it. Danny Ramirez is still there. They just had to replace him, Joaquin Phoenix, with Pedro Pascal, which I guess would work because he's a popular name, even though I think a lot of people are starting to get to that place where they're feeling he might be a little overexposed. But the whole indie movie thing, it definitely fits for him as an actor. So Pedro has been photographed filming uh upcoming the movie The Noche. Now, the movie, which previously had an uncertain future after Joaquin Phoenix left the production, got back on track earlier this year with Pascal as the lead. Now, production started in March of this year, as reported by Variety. Now, Pascal has been seen on set as his character, Detective Richard Rent. Now, Pascal was seen filming in Mexico City. The film is set in the 30s and follows Pascal as a detective, and Danny Ramirez will play boarding school teacher Joe Thomas. Pascal was seen filming in Mexico. They said written by Todd Haynes and John Raymond. The plot will see the characters have an unexpected love affair as they're targeted by the corrupt political machine of Los Angeles. They're then forced to flee to Mexico. Now, Haynes said of the film, the story with Pedro and Danny and the two leads arises out of an era all too relevant to our own of domestic corruption, racial exploitation, and global terror. But as it emerges as a testament to the inexplicable powers of desire and love to survive and overcome even the most crippling of human barriers. Now, Danny Ramirez was originally set to star alongside Joaquin Phoenix, who had been developing the script with Haynes and Raymond. However, the project was shelved after Phoenix, who reportedly got cold feet, quit. And that seems to be an ongoing thing with him. Like he'll start something and then maybe like the thing's about to go into production, and all of a sudden he'll just decide, you know what, I don't want to do the movie. Child, you can't be out here being all fleeting with the situation. But let me pull up some of the pictures that I put on my website. That's one of them. So we'll just um, leave that there. Or maybe it looks better this way because it's bigger. So we have that. Also, Phoenix had been wanting Haynes to go further and push the film's explicit scenes. Because remember, before he was like, "Oh yeah, we need to go all in. We need to go and try to push it to NC-17 territory with the sex and everything." So they've been trying to. He was trying to really push for that and really go there and like, yeah, let's really go in and let have. And then of course, when it's time to film, now you want to backpedal. It's like, okay, you were just being. He's just so annoying with that. Now, produce because then people say, well, he should be entitled to whatever, whatever. But I'm like, you should have encouraged it. How about that? How about you don't encourage a lot of like them to beef up the same sex sequences if you're not really comfortable doing that? You don't get to you don't get to have your cake and eat it. It's like you either in or you're out, in the words of Heidi Klum. Now, producer Christine Vacon, I think that's how you say her name, Killer Films appeared to hit out at Phoenix after his exit, saying in a since deleted social media post, as per the Hollywood Reporter, it has been a nightmare. If you were tempted to finger wag or admonish us, that's what you get for casting a straight actor. Don't. We will be there. Wait, hold on. So then it said this was his project that he brought to us, and Killer's record on working with LGBTQ actors slash crews slash directors speaks for itself. And for those of you who have, know that you are making a terrible situation even worse. So the film was revived in August 2025 with Pascal replacing Phoenix. And the good thing about this is maybe Pedro heard about it and was like, you know what? He wants this movie to get made. He probably saw the script and was like, you know what? It's unfortunate that this is a really good script that queer people want to be represented or see some type of representation in their films. And this movie, he wants it to come out because and there seems to be a lot of queer centered films that are controversial that have been coming out as of late. We got Pillion with Ascars, aka Alexander Skarsgård, where he's playing someone who's in the BDSM world. Then we have this other film that's getting a lot of controversy that is coming, that's supposed to be coming out. I think it's called The Blue Film or something or another, about a young guy who's a cam model who encounters his teacher. And it's sort of like a pedophilia affiliated movie, and nobody would touch this film. This film couldn't get any kind of distribution, couldn't be shown at festivals. Now it has picked up distribution. The trailer is actually on YouTube. But yeah, that movie. When I was looking at it, I was like, "Ooh, this is controversial." I mean, I don't know how controversial, but based on me reading it, and I've seen some of the gay blogs have talked about it. Um, it'll be interesting to see how this film turns out when it happens. So yeah, so like it was said in here is that if you attempted to finger wag or admonish us, and that's what you get for casting a straight actor, then don't do that. And I know people are out here speculating on Pedro's sexuality because he was recently spotted out and about with someone of the same gender that actually was the ex of Luke Evans, who is currently on Broadway as Dr. Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Um, he hasn't come out and told us anything, so we just out here speculating. But I think he's bisexual. Let me see, is there any more photos? I think that's it. So yeah, this is all the photos we have so far. And I had this one from earlier. So yeah, there's that one and there's no more. So these are all the pictures we got right now. There's not much to give. I do like this whole look of the 1930s with the cars and his overall. He does look kind of skinny here. But I just need to see a trailer. I need to see what this movie is before I can come to any conclusion, but I just hope it's good. And if they want to really go there with the sexual stuff, we're gonna see Pedro and Danny taking it like a man. But anyway, I say all this, say all jokes aside, what do you guys think of this story just based on seeing those little stills? What do you think about the movie? I say I don't know what to think yet. The pictures is whatever. Just okay. It's a guy dressed in a suit and it's giving 1930s realness. I just need to see a trailer first before I can come to any conclusion. So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. I think Pedro is my favorite movie star right now. He's great at his craft, and he minds his own business as he should. And we like actors that put their head down, do the work, and mind the business that pays them. I shouldn't. I should have asked you this a long time ago. What do you think about your man allegedly being child? I did hear that tea, and it's like, yeah, you out here saying all this advocate stuff, but yeah, the word on the curb is Pedro's dating a Zionist. I saw someone say he got ugly after he shaved his facial hair, which presents his bruised soul. I'll say that. I didn't like him when he shaved his face. I was like, oh, go back to that because it's weird. Because it's like, is it me, or do you feel that once Pedro turned 50, it was like all of a sudden that old man shit started to hit him. Like he's starting to look a little tattered. So I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to see them wrinkles coming, and we like the natural facial expressions, all this stuff. But yeah, He started looking like he been exhausted, like he a little aged out, and the shaving of the face made him look crazy. Even though we do criticize it because it's like every role you're in just literally looks like we looking at you because of the facial hair. But I guess sometimes, they say that a man with facial hair is basically like a woman wearing makeup. Like we're hiding a lot of stuff under the facial hair. Me, I just get sick and tired of having to shave all the time. It's annoying when you got to sit there with the razor and stuff. So it gets annoying. So I just be letting my facial hair come in and all this other stuff. I ain't got time to be up in the mirror shaving every other day because my facial hair grows relatively quickly. You said, I'll never forget when Pedro said there's no good Mexican food in New York. He tried it. Because I'm like, sir, have you been to Jackson Heights? There's plenty. Well, there's good Mexican food. There's good Colombian food. There's a lot of good food. I love Jackson Heights and Elmhurst, that whole area, because it's like a lot of Spanish, like a lot of Hispanic food. I don't like that it's starting to get a little gentrified. You see a lot of white people trying to move in those areas, but there are some good spots in New York. I don't know if you probably just hanging out on the Upper East Side or the Upper West Side or whatever the case is, but you ain't really gone into the trenches of New York to get some good Mexican food. And trust and believe, just like there's some good Mexican men in New York, they got some good Mexican food in New York as well. Shout out to all the Mexicans. I like you. We like you over here. And I speak for me. And you're gonna see a lot of them at that Peso Puma concert that they got me working at the end of the month. But anyway, with all that being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in to today's show. We're at the end. The time has come to the end. I will be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of the show. Lord willing, if there's any good topics to speak on, but I'm sure there will be. Hit that like button and subscribe. Also smash the notification bell. Thank you. Well, somebody said best Mexican food in Manassas, Virginia. Well, maybe he need to take a trip over there. So, but he said in New York, right? I was like, how dare you throw shade in New York City? I'm sure there's some good Mexican spots, and I'm not talking about Tex-Mex. We're talking about Mexican food. And like I said, there's plenty of good spots in like the areas like Jackson Heights and places like that. But anyway, so and it's in the DMV area. So yeah, hit that like and subscribe, smash the notification, all that good stuff. I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode. Love you all for watching. Thank you for your continued support. And until next time, ciao, darlings.